Sorry, what?
I'm saying we got to start with Artsy on the plate of spaghetti. over there.
Yeah, the creature
Start the
pose,
fucking
dude. What is
recording.
this?
So we're back at your mom's house. I'm in the couch. I'm Cat Mount, your host, and we've got Medi off to my right, also co-founder of
Hello.
Refuge. Got Lavy over on the little couch.
Who's that guy? Good morning.
And last but not least, we got Artsy Glitch today joining us for some questions, for some stories, for whatever the hell happens. Thanks again for coming back. I appreciate y'all. We did this a couple months ago, and
what do you mean? There was no
my
recording.
microphone wasn't working, so
nothing ever happened. I don't know.
Weird sense of deja vu.
Like Groundhog Day. Oh my god.
So hopefully you guys are a little bit comfier now since you've been here before. Let me pull up my sweet little notepad. But yeah, I think what I wanted to do was just go around the living room and see where our names came from. I think that was like the first thing I wanted to go through. So I'm gonna start with Hump, up to my right.
Okay, so I'll do both because I have like two aliases. So Humfreaky is because last name's Humphrey. Dox myself, whatever. But and in high school, I was in the wrestling crowd, and for some reason, I was called Humfreaky, and that just kind of stuck. And Medi, honestly, it's from Call of Duty, like Phase Medi.
No way.
I was like, oh, that name's cool.
Yo,
Yeah.
that's sick. Yeah,
I just kind of yoinked it. Actually, which is funny because
Medi
he
is
hit me up
creepy.
on League, like trying to buy the name.
Oh my
No
And I
god.
was
way.
like, nah, I'm good. And he called me like a fanboy. He's a giant douchebag. Anyways,
Sick. That's actually
Face-
such cool lore.
Phase Medi, if you're watching this, bro,
It's me.
it's for sale. So
Bro, I think we fight each other.
It's for
We fight each other over the name, like on everything. I don't know, because sometimes I'll get it and sometimes he gets it.
right, like if a new
That's
game
so fucking
comes out.
funny.
Well, I'll go next, and then we'll go this way.
Yep.
Okay.
I love it because like everyone asks me what is a cat mount or like where does it come from, and I'm like really fighting myself whether I should tell the actual story or not. But I'll tell a story. I needed a username for League of Legends. I was like just a freshman in college, and all my friends were playing this game, League of Legends. They're like, bro, you got to make an account, this and that. And I'm like, spamming the random username button, nothing. Like everything sucked. I was like, what is this? And I was like, what are the two things that I like understand and like want to represent me? And I was like, well, I really like cats, so I have a cat. I had a cat, I still do. And I was like, all right, cat has to be one side of it. And I was working at Jimmy John's, so I was making a lot of tuna melts. I'm like,
Yes.
cat melt, boom. And then as soon as I typed it in, it was like, you're good. And I'm like, hell yeah, okay. And then as soon as I started making usernames everywhere else, you're good. Like no one's got
And
it.
that's
like,
what the fuck is a cat melt.
I was like,
Now we
damn,
got it.
bro, the sandwich. Yeah, straight up. Artsy, what about you, dude?
I guess like my name kind of comes from me being an edgy like 14, 15-year-old. And I was like, I'm a glitch, like I'm a mistake, right? I was like really emo. But I was like, oh, I'm artsy though. Like I can be beautiful and a mistake. And
I'm
I've
14
just
and
used
this
it
is deep.
exactly.
Right.
And I use it to this day because it just kind of stuck.
Hell yeah.
I fuck with it.
Yeah. I love the edge. What a beauty. Me, honestly, I started like I had multiple like phases of this name, but I just really liked
Shut up, please.
flowers. I had like a lot of like lavender and like violets around my area. So I was like, you know what? Violet lavender. And then it got shortened and shortened and shortened, and now I'm at Lavy, and that's where we sit.
Love it. Humpy,
Boom.
Lavy, Artsy, Cat.
Cat mount.
I wish I had a
Like
cute
we've all
Y.
got like
I wish I had a cute Y at the end of it. Cat Melty. I don't know. Doesn't really
yeah,
bring out. You call me that
Catty.
sometimes.
Yeah, I called you Melt. I called you Melty. That's what works.
Well, we'll jump into it. Fucking, how did you guys get into VR? Either of you go first, but want to hear like the origin story. Like what made you put on the headset or what made you play VR chat, the game? What was really like the beginning for the whole VR rabbit hole?
I mean, do you want to go first or do you want me to?
I think we've got like a really good like order of like you and then me, so I think that'd be interesting.
Okay,
And then
yeah.
we can
Fair
go
enough.
like
You started on
can-
desktop, right? Artsy?
yeah.
Huh?
You started on desktop, right?
I did.
For a while.
So I had moved from my hometown to live with some family members for a little bit. Hadn't really used computers a whole lot. And my family member bought me a laptop, and I kind of just used it to kill time. Met some folks online who got me into VR chat. Played desktop for a long time, and I started making worlds actually before I even had a headset. Yeah, I mean, kind of just started getting really involved with the creative aspect of things and fell in love with VR because of that. And here I am today.
What's crazy
And
because
there we
like
be.
it's not like back in the day, right? Like where like you'd see something on TV and you're like, whoa,
Wow.
I want that. I want those
I want
moon
it on it.
shoes. I want those.
Dude,
yeah, I
yeah.
want that
It's
crazy.
the new cool tech on the
airplane.
block, so you gotta be like a cool
definitely-
kid.
I feel like none of us, or at least any of my friends, like they didn't get into it because they saw like a commercial, right? Like that's just not how you do it anymore. But
Yeah, no. It's a different workflow.
we're all just like on the computer, so we're all like, damn,
Yeah.
what's out there? Well, how did you get into it?
That's pretty
Lavy?
much my like I love computers. I want to do a little bit of everything on computers, and like a few years ago, like back in 2019, I had a lot of friends that were doing streaming. I used to be like a pretty reputable mod before like the explosion of VTubers on like a lot of the like streamers that were kind of getting into it. It was like the startup of VTubing and stuff like that. And one of my friends that was starting to get big was like, "Hey, I heard there's this like video game, right, where you use like a VR headset. It's like the new tech on the block, and I want to try it, right? I want to like jump in and see what it do." And so we kind of all got onto VR chat. It was like a little bit after like the big craze with like the James Key shit and all that. And yeah, we started fucking around as a little group. I still hang out with those very people to this very day. Still here with the ones that I came with, you know. Uh, hey, DJs, shout out. No, but like, yeah, I got on there back in 2019 with a couple friends. Didn't have a VR headset, but we basically did a pact with like the three main people of the group to get one. So we all got like a Rift S back in the day. The good old like shit mic. Everybody
microwave.
wrote button.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
dude.
black
Shout out.
microwave on your head.
If you remember, the era of Rift S, what a beauty to hear like half the lobby just go. That was so fun. But yeah, got into that, and then to lead into like the world creation stuff, because a lot of like those friends were streamers, and I was like the moderator of the group. I was kind of just like the manager of everybody. And there came a necessity where like everyone wasn't like really tech savvy in the group. They were kind of just entertainers. So I became the guy that did their avatars for like a year straight. So that got me ironed out in like Unity and Blender for in the first place. That was like basically my first time touching a game engine or like a 3D modeling software. There was a while back some shit, but
Right.
you know,
And
it
so
wasn't
different.
serious.
It's so different in VR chat, the game. It's
Yeah,
like or the
it's
platform. It's
a
not
whole
like
different
you.
thing.
There's no character creator. There's no like
Yeah.
intro. It's like, hey, welcome. And then you see all
You're
these
thrown
people
in.
wearing like different shoes and cool like hats and glasses and whatever. And it's up
Yep.
to, it's really up to the friend group. Like you got to have that Lavy in your friend group or like whoever or yourself to put in
Somebody
the
that's
hours.
adventurous enough, yeah, to just like discover all these things. And literally, like,
Yeah.
we had a charity event at some point, and we were like, okay, if we manage to raise $900, we're making a world for the community um like where we're gonna put all the names of the people that have helped.
Good.
That was like the final goal. But the thing is, we didn't know how to make worlds, so that's me, baby.
You
I had
got
to learn
tasked.
on the
Yeah.
spot, yeah, how to figure it out. And I was so unbelievably passionate about it that I kind of just raw dogged everything.
What was
I
that?
didn't
Was that
have
like a jam? What was the like what got, sorry, I'm standing up because I'm grabbing some water.
Yeah, no, do what you gotta do.
What was the
Cheers.
like prompt, you know, like the, why did you have to make a world? Or the charity? Like what was the charity about and all that?
I don't remember exactly what the charity was about. I think it was something for like LGBT kids, stuff like that. And yeah, we ended up raising like just about 1K. So we did break that. We're
Amazing.
kind of like think about like what we could do. And honestly, for the higher levels, we just couldn't figure out really what to do. And we said, what's something that's like usually really expensive that we can kind of figure it out? And I just upped my hand and I was like, I can try my hand at a world. I've always wanted to. So that was like the beginning of that basically. And it was just like a 2-room lounge with like a bar, and then every bottle had like names of like the biggest donators on it.
Oh, that's sick.
Nothing really that fancy, but it was like cute, and it taught me like how to do PBR, how to do lighting, how to do all these things, like these fancy words.
Right. The
Right.
whole rabbit hole of like,
Yeah,
how do
like
you make it
figuring
look
out post
cool?
processing, how do you make it look cool, right, in the first place? And so I kind of just learned Unity off of that, and that's where the story begins.
That's sick. Well, yeah, Artsy, how did you get into all this? How'd you get into making worlds and, you know, just being who you are today? What was the first world you worked on?
I guess like that friend I mentioned earlier that whenever they got me into VR, they really wanted us to have like custom avatars. So we both had Nanachis from way back in the day because it was
The
like the
OG.
biggest, like, yeah, it was like the most popular and easy to edit model that was around. And after that, my friend, she started getting into like playing around with like Unity assets and making worlds for our little group of people. And me loving to be like creative and being a little competitive, I also wanted to kind of like see if I could make like a good like world for us to hang out in as well. And we kind of had this kind of friendly little like back and forth about it. She ended up getting into 3D modeling. I ended up getting into environmental work. And she got into 3D modeling for avatars, but yeah, that kind of kicked everything off. And then I'd say my first like major world that kind of took it a step above from just playing around was Cyberlove Cafe.
Okay.
The classic.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, of course, everything kind of spawned off from there.
Yep, the very first Cyberlove, and look at where we're at today. Oh my
Amazing.
goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of Cyberlove, you put out your map, Cyberlove Area
The last
7,
one, right?
which is the last one in the whole series, right? What's the deal with Cyberlove and how did you get here today from the cafe?
Well, I guess Cyberlove's had a lot of evolutions. It started off with me I found some pictures of this like cyberpunk maid cafe. I think in like Shibuya, or maybe it was Akihabara, I don't remember. But it was this really like cute, like cybery, like maid cafe. Just loved the like kind of aesthetic of it all, and I wanted to kind of get that vibe and bring it to VR chat. And as I made more Cyberlove, since people really seemed to like the original, I kind of evolved the style into being like less cute and more dystopian over time. I don't think that was something I planned, but I think it's been kind of an interesting like artistic experiment to kind of bring it from this kind of like cutesy pink like Hello Kitty dreamland type place to eventually like a kind of almost like a dystopian novel of like classic cyberpunk themes of like corporate takeovers and dark gritty climate change and all sorts of stuff like that. So it's been
it feels like you're
wide journey.
you're making movies at this point. It's like every time you put out one of these things, more and more people are like stoked to go to the theater or to your world, and I feel like that's so sick as a progression for yourself as an artist and as a world creator. How has that like figured in? Like how have you gone from Cyberlove to your other maps, right? They've kind of tied in or inspired other things that you've done. Yeah, where do you see like the story going? You said it went from all this cute stuff, really like kind of your interests evolved alongside your maps and kind of storytelling in general. How did that evolve over time for you with each map?
I think so with the Cyberlove, it never really had like a story or like any lore to it originally. I'd say the first world that kind of like started to anchor me really wanting to put a story and like progression to my worlds was my first like atrium world. It all kind of started because I had this really cool tree model I wanted to use from the Unity asset store. It was back when I used to like use assets I would find and stuff and kind of just I was still learning. And I kind of like wrote this like story in my head that there was like this big flood. I was kind of justifying assets that I had at the time. I had like a water shader, so it was, oh, the world's flooded. Then I had this big tree, and I was like, oh, it's this like crazy tree with all these properties, and we'll figure that out later. And as I built built more worlds and kind of like just tacked on like different elements to the story, I brought in Cyberlove kind of adjacently and kind of wrote it in as like a, kind of like a side story. And it all kind of merged together into this kind of huge narrative.
That's sick. That honestly answers what I was going to ask. I was going to ask like, where does Cyberlove fit in the whole picture? And it feels like you were kind of constantly creating a story. And I mean, just to touch on like a couple of the other ones, Wildflower, a lot of the stuff that you worked on last year weren't super focused on Cyberlove. What inspired you to go back? What inspired you to really like go back into this Area 7 and talk a little bit more about where are we? What is Area 7?
So like I guess I'll start off by finishing like the first part of that. So Cyberlove Area 7 is kind of this kind of finale to the Cyberlove line of worlds, I guess. It's the I with all of the Cyberloves, they kind of take place like between like I'd say kind of 1960s in a kind of muffled sense all the way up until 1993. 1993 being the kind of like peak of Pacifia, which in my lore is a kind of this mega corporation that turns into like this big imperial power by like buying governments, and they buy Japan, and the Cyberlove Area 7 world is kind of just really like in the middle of this like big takeover, this big corporate like I guess oligarchy or whatever you'd call it, right? It is the world itself I kind of built to kind of give that feeling of like you're kind of hunkered down, like just trying to like avoid the general chaos outside, as like there's all this development and instability and all sorts of other things. it's kind of a step before another event that takes place in more of my worlds, which I guess we could get back to at another time. But
Well,
um,
I'm gonna make you get right back into it, and then yeah, no, I just think this is a great time to talk about like Pacifia. You know, you were saying how a lot of Pacifia had a lot to do with pushing your story and kind of the bad guy. It sounds like they're kind of like the corporate like overlords, stuff like that. Explain to us like what Pacifia is and how that's kind of driven the storytelling in all the maps up to today.
well, okay, so Pacifia is kind of this started off as an American like electronics corporation and like defense contractor for the US military. They were kind of like subsidized during the early 1900s. Started creating things like, you know, the first kind of early TVs that were consumer grade and everything. And then during the Cold War, they were commissioned by the government to create this kind of like alternative history story, its version of the internet, which I guess in our real life timeline it'd be like ARPANET, I think, is what it was originally called. So this
Like
takes place
dial-up.
where Pacifia.
Like back when you had to like use your phone to get on the internet, low key.
No. Like I'm talking like so like originally the military made the first internet called
Oh
ARPANET,
shit.
like in like real history.
Okay.
And
Word. I didn't even know this.
that
This is
was
nuts.
yeah. And that I don't really know how it became commercialized to the point we use it all today. But I know it was kind of just this computer network, and I think it moved on to like colleges. It was originally for like military stuff.
Right.
But in the lore, this is pretty much the same case, but instead of it kind of being more of a public utility, it was privately owned.
Right.
And with this private ownership, Pacifia was able to, during this kind of time of war between America and Russia, they used this kind of new internet and their control over it to kind of propagandize people and make kind of plays behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's
And
like if we got Google like 20 years earlier, like if we got that shit on our
oh
computers
yeah.
and at home, it feels like a lot of your worlds are very nostalgic. Like it feels super familiar, yet we're still in the
New
future.
tech.
Yeah, it's super wild. Like being in those worlds, and it's nuts. Like the art style you've developed through your storytelling and through just making a new map, you know, for years now, just a new map every, I don't know the timeline, but like you're always pumping these out. And every time you do, again, it's like a movie. It's like a new chapter. And
She has a really big problem of scale, so like it's really dependent on like
Yes, I do.
if she can. That's something that we can talk about. I don't know if we want to talk about it early or later. But there was the whole story about Okinawa being like 3 times the size that it actually is now.
yeah, jump into it. I
Had a
mean,
bar.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
I guess we're just digging into like kind of like Artsy's maps and the storytelling all the way up to Area 7. And it feels like now, like every time you do go to a new map, it's a new chapter, right, in the story. And this is the closing chapter
We jump
for
around
Cyberlove.
timelines.
But
yeah.
yeah, it feels super sick. I mean, yeah, do you want to talk about Okinawa a little bit, Lavi, since I know you had some
Oh my goodness gracious.
play in that?
Lavi helped me a lot on Okinawa.
And that's
Yeah,
also
Okinawa was like
Cyberlove, right? That says Cyberlove Okinawa is
Yes,
the
Yep,
yes.
official
it's one
title.
of the mainline Cyberlove. There's like, well, mainline with the Cyberlove. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. There's like the mainline Cyberlove suits worlds that are like main, and then there's like the kind of sideline Cyberlove worlds like Okinawa and this one
Okay.
technically like not following the suits but still being a suit.
So
And there's like
before
adjacent
we get
ones.
into to Okinawa specifically, tell us all of them. What are all the Cyberloves we got out right now?
True.
You can just
Um,
list them out.
yeah, I mean, you started off with the first Cyberlove Cafe, which I mentioned. That was way back in the day when I used to use Pro Builder. And then when I started to learn Blender, I made a remake of that. So you kind of have two Cyberlive cafes. I think only one's public, which is the newer one. Then I made the first Cyberlive Suites, which was very bare bones, was a single room. Hardly, I don't think anyone's hardly even seen it.
Yeah, no, still pro builder as well. So.
And then Cyberlive Suites 2, I think it was before I met any of y'all. And then Cyberlive Suites 3, you helped me out a ton with.
Yep. That was the first one where we met. We can talk about that in a minute.
Because I think we met around the time I was trying to kind of like refurbish it, because I was like having all sorts of issues with it.
And
you were like,
the entire story ready for you. Yeah.
And then so after Cyberlive Suites 3, we had Cyberlive Okinawa, which was kind of like a side thing where it was like, oh, it's another branch of the hotel, because the main one's supposed to be in Tokyo.
Yeah.
And this one was like in Okinawa. It's kind of like, a flooded kind of version of it that's like all misty. And then why am I drawing a blank? I think the only other one is this new one, which is
it's this
Area
new one that's
7.
like has the name, but there's like the ones that are like kind of adjacent to it in a way. There's like Solar Cabins, Reeds, Nest, Delta. Like all of these have like the same kind of function, but not like mainline.
Right.
So yeah.
So those are the research projects, but yeah.
That's so sick. Yeah, you're telling a story, and like you said, you have all these like chapters, and Cyberlove being just such a popular one. I would say that's been one that people really like point out. They're like, "Yo, we gotta go here. This place is sick." Like, what? I want to get into how you guys met. That would be really sick.
So that's the thing. Yeah.
How did you guys meet? Through the Cyberlove. It sounds like you met through the Cyberlove series in a way, which is pretty cool.
A lot of people are probably like wondering, like, who the hell is this guy? I know Artsy. I don't know this guy.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. So back in the day when she released Cyberlove Suits 3, we had a common friend, Wispy, lovely motherfucker. We had this common friend that was like, oh yeah, I know this world creator. They're doing some cool shit. And I was really like leaning into like lighting and like designing spaces for like social interaction and stuff like that. So I proposed to her, hey, do you want me to like look over your Cyberlove Suits 3 and like do a complete like redo of the post-processing and the lighting? And she, after seeing like some of the stuff that I did for Wispy, she was like, yeah, sure, let's try it. She sent me the project over. I did a complete relighting. I taught her how to use like a lot of like community shaders and stuff like that. I did the whole post-processing, showed how to do like a night toggle, like some stuff that like is quote unquote basic and expected in Worlds, but like it takes a lot of expertise to get into it. And if you don't know, you can't know. It's a lot of like, whenever you get into like creator spaces and stuff like that, there's a lot of like jargon and vocabulary that you just don't have, and unless you've got someone telling you, you can't really know about it. So that's kind of like, we started
when I met
there.
you guys,
So much
my
more.
game leveled up instantly. Like, oh my god.
Yeah,
so
one day
it's so interesting to see like none of y'all like went to school for this. Like nobody in this room.
We're all raw dogging it.
And I feel like y'all have like leveled up in a way that I can't even comprehend. I mean, you say words that sound like a different language to me, and then you both just come together as artistic, like, I don't know, time bombs, and then you come together, and it seemed like it worked out really well. Like you guys really had a good mesh when you met each other.
Yeah, actually, the like when I did that, after that, she saw that there was like a lot of potential, and I explained as well, like I do like a lot of like designing spaces and understanding what goes into like making a sociable space. And our first collab was like, I did help with Cyberlove Suits 3, but it wasn't like the real like meshing of our like skills together yet, because the real start was Solar Cabins. Solar Cabins literally started with like us chatting, like, okay, we're gonna make a world from scratch. You're gonna model everything, but I'm gonna explain to you like what, like, where people go when they make a map. We started with the bed. She like, that's like always the thing that she really loves, is the bed. Like it's the main piece of most of her worlds. So it's like the point of interest. And we talked about, okay, you always do like nighttime maps. Let's try and do a daytime and make it so that like the lighting is what's going to drive people to specific
Ah,
spots. Because when
sick.
you've got like a brighter spot and then everything being lit up by ambience, right? There's some people that are gonna like the ambient, like shaded parts, and there's some people that are really gonna like being in that light. So we're like, okay, we're gonna design a big window with like metal bars on it to give like more interesting shadows. We're gonna do some slats in a corner, like a really tight place, right? And we're gonna put mirrors in points of interest. We're gonna put a video player on points of interest, and we need to like think about those specific points of interest that people are gonna gather around. So we designed that entire space with all of that in mind. Um, Taught how to like use bakery and have like good settings, a high quality bake, all the optimization steps that you need to do to make sure that Unity cooperates as well, because lighting does affect your performance as well. And we also went over how to do post processing and how to do an effective night post processing, because a lot of maps they just slap a general like lighting
Put
down
some
slider.
sunglasses on. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yo.
exactly. And they
Yeah.
call it the nighttime, but there's a lot that goes into night times where the color of the lighting is going to be different and it's going to be a lot more soft and ambient based because, well, you're looking at a reflection of the sun's light, right? You're not looking at the direct sunlight, which would be like a lot sharper generally.
Right.
So we couldn't edit the entirety of the lighting, but we could somewhat fake it with like big bloom and stuff like that. Like
Well, I
that was
wanted to
like
say,
a whole technical stuff. Yeah.
you were
Bloom
saying
haters.
how when you met Lavi or when you met both of them, like you leveled up. I feel like just my in VR chat or VR in general, meeting you guys and meeting seeing Artsy's work leveled my. It's like you've been eating like Chili's for like your whole life, and then you walk into like Gordon Ramsay's, Hell's Kitchen, and you're just like, dude, the lighting, everything about it, the architecture, down to the furniture, it just, I'm like, this exists. I'm like, this is marvelous. I feel like my taste has evolved after just meeting y'all, and it's honestly like even filtered down to like video games. Like when I play video games or when I see 3D work, like it's really kind of like got me thinking like, what are these people doing behind the scenes? Like, what are they thinking about? And
There's something that I want to add as well.
yeah, go for it.
I'm saying that I like taught a lot of things, but my actions on Artsy's worlds are pretty minor considering the work that she puts in at the end of the day, because she's an incredible modeler. She's an incredible like artist when it comes to lore, texturing, modeling, to all of the things that actually make the world in the first place. And I'm just like the finishing touches. So
Levy, you're a technical artist
yeah,
for
very much
sure.
so.
Like you know all the settings and like
All the
the
tools, all the
values the thing should
settings.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Artsy is incredibly talented in the creative fields, like directly. She
Yeah.
is a pure creator.
And I
And
have no
Substance Painter
idea.
God.
I have no idea how. Yeah, dude, substance. So I never knew what the. And I've been working in Adobe for way too long. And you were the one that kind of inspired me to take a look at like the detail side of things. And I remember Mehdi
Same
coming
here.
to me. He's like, dude, did you see this thing that she made in Wildflower? And I think it was like a golden like incense holder or something.
Yep.
And he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, dude, I just watched her make that from a cube. And I'm like, what? I stared at that thing for hours. So I gotta say, like, how did that like kind of drive or fuel to make stuff that's so detailed? Like, how did that evolve for you? I imagine there's a story behind you, like just really getting into it and making things look artistic, right? How did that
Yeah.
come into play for all the world stuff?
I think first I'd like to say, yeah, like I've kind of always focused on like the architecture and kind of like design. I'm very obsessed with like interior design and like the meaning of like spaces. But a big compliment I always get is like, oh, like your lighting is like top tier. Like I'd love to come to your worlds because your lighting always impresses me. And I do want to put it out there. My entire like lighting philosophy and how my design and interior design and artistic process and philosophy connects to my philosophy on lighting entirely thanks to Lavy. Lavy is the one who kind of put me on to like the process of lighting and kind of open that side of things for me where I was designing with lighting in mind. And that was all you who kind of got me onto that. So, you know,
Yeah.
thank
She
you.
had everything else, and I put some sauce and some salt on it.
Yeah, and then it tasted amazing. And Artsy's like, let's make more of this. This tastes good.
Yeah.
This is
And
crazy.
now we here.
That's sick. I
And,
mean, yeah.
Back to the.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, go for it. Oh, I wasn't gonna say a thing. I just want to hear more about how how you fell in the rabbit hole of like really making details. Yeah, like you just get into it, girl. You're nuts with that.
I think just I've always been someone who I've always wanted to do like art and be creative and stuff. I was never good at 2D drawing. But I always wanted to like create and like have some sort of art that I could kind of like be good with and work with. And I found that in 3D modeling, you know, the more I got into it. And from there, I started becoming like very obsessed with like interior design, architecture, and a lot of the like philosophies around it. Like I've become like a really big I'm very obsessed with like feng shui, you know, like the
Yes.
energy of a room, like what types of shapes, like shape language, like just looking at those like things that might be staring you right in the face, like the shape of a wall. No one really thinks like, oh, that wall's curved and that makes me feel a type of way. It's integrated into the experience. And I think that is kind of a paradigm that I've developed and now I work with. I've done a lot of like I'm very obsessed with like Frank Lloyd Wright, the famous architect, and how they do like spaces that flow with the natural environment and flow with the natural function of what the space is for. And I kind of do a little bit of that sort of stuff and kind of mix it in with environmental storytelling. And it's always kind of given a good product that people seem to like. So
it's emotional. It's like your maps are emotional. That's like if I had to give it one word, you're making an album, a movie, you know, but you're doing it in 3D. And you're saying you've always wanted to, you know, be able to put a pen to paper, but didn't come out. This is much crazier. I got to tell you that. To learn all the programs you learn and to even go out of your way to let people teach you things, and there's just so much to it that I'm just like, wow. Like, how do you even get into this? All right. It's like, damn. There's a lot, but once you lock in and you figure out kind of what your emotion wants to be represented as, like you just go all in. You just go all in, and it feels like each map you put in your all every time. Every time it comes out, it's beautiful stuff. I mean, bro, I urge everybody to check out Artsy Glitch on VR Chat. All of her worlds are
Area 7 is
insane.
Yeah,
Area
everything
7,
is incredible.
Like
my personal
nuts.
favorites definitely like Reed's Nest are like the smallest worlds that she's got, but they're super interesting in and of themselves.
Reed's.
They're so
It's
relaxing.
packed with detail.
Yeah, packed with detail. And then Archipelago is probably like if you're looking for something large scale, Archipelago has so much going on, so many different little areas that you can visit. Just so interesting.
I remember
And then if you're looking for mid-side, yeah.
Mehdi
like
was
Area 7.
telling me, he was like, dude, when he first introduced me to your work, he's like, dude, come with me, right? Took me by the virtual hand, and you took me to,
I think I showed him Initium. Because that's the first world that I saw that I was like, holy fuck.
Holy shit,
Like,
yeah.
you're actually insane. Yeah.
we
I don't
we
know.
went there and we stayed there for hours, you know, just like
Yeah.
admiring all the different pieces that you created. Like there was, you know, there's like a million screens in there, and it's not like this like facility that's like working and on. It was completely abandoned. It felt like something happened in there, something emotional or something really bad. And then just being there felt awesome. I was like, damn, what happened? Like I
I'm
wanted to
immersed.
know what happened
Yeah.
in there. Yeah, there's like a couple of crazy notes on the wall, like, and like people tried to get out. Something like, yo, go check that out if you haven't seen it yet. Initium was my initium to your my initial
Yeah.
grasp on like who you were, and I was like, dude, if I ever get to meet Artsy, man, GG. Like I want to shake
GG.
I want to shake that hand because it seemed like you really care, like in a way, and that ties into like everything, lighting and storytelling. I don't know where I was
Yeah,
going
you
with
were
that,
talking
but
about like papers and storytelling.
yeah,
I don't know about older maps, but nowadays I'm pretty sure like every time you see text, there is some amount of meaning to it, or there's like something interesting to it,
yeah,
right?
everything you
Like,
touch, it's like
Typically,
there's
yeah.
something
yeah,
behind it, right? What
especially in the newer maps.
I mean, I guess that's my favorite map. What's your favorite map, dude?
Oh, it's Initium still
Initium?
probably just
Okay,
because
we
I
got
have that like
okay.
yeah.
That's like
I
the
don't know.
OG memory, the nostalgia. Get
Yep.
in.
I'll
Mhm.
throw one more in there. Wildflower. I mean,
Wildflower is
biased.
Yeah,
incredible.
that's
I got
such a
Oh my
banger. We
god.
spent so much time there.
I got to
Mhm.
work with you on that, and you kind of had this kitchen sink of like amazing ideas. You know, after doing so many worlds, after Okinawa, after all the storytelling worlds, you know, we started working together, and that was like, dude, like being able to be a part of that, like, was so fun. I made like the logo stuff, made some of the ad space for you in the front, and a big thing for me was like
You managed to make ads at the entrance, like with the way it was all set up and everything. I was
not
worried it was gonna
cringe.
look gaudy. You managed to make the ads look like
They fit in, yeah.
ethereal. Like
Yeah.
Right.
it's great.
Yeah,
They're
and like
beautiful.
there was something about that world that I was like, man, I just want to be here. And we did. We ended up hanging out there for a year more. Like just
Pretty much,
every
yeah.
time we were ready to just chill out and relax, we'd either be by the fire, we'd be on the bed, you know, whatever it was. And I'll get into it a little bit more later because I want to hand it over to Lavi on your new releases. But
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, there's so much about those worlds, like all the way down to the music, right? Like I want to talk about the music later on. I
Oh
know
my
we're
god,
all
yeah.
here because of the music, low key. Shout out Refuge.
Mhm.
Yeah, if we're gonna like segue into the music, perfect. Going
Shout
into the
out
clubbing.
music. Shout out music.
Shout out
Lavi,
music.
what do you have in the pipeline? I know you just came out
Oh
with
my
a
goodness
brilliant,
gracious.
brilliant release. You've been working with Refuge
Yeah.
for
We
a
got a
while
story
now,
to tell.
and
Yeah.
yeah, I'll let you say the name of the latest
Yep.
release.
Then we're gonna begin at the very beginning of this story where
Let's
I
do
was
it.
introduced to Refuge. A few years ago, once again, shout out Wispy for introducing me to Humpy and the entire team. A few years ago, I pull up and I look at the events, right? I start joining, I get into the community, and I hear about this talk of an event that they're doing where it's like open decks. For the people that don't know what open decks is, you basically sign up on a list, right? And then you play in order. Their twist to it was that it was random. So they would write down with like pens or something in the world, like who was on the list, and then they would go on Discord and roll a like wheel on a website to see like who's gonna be next.
Archaic, dude.
Yeah,
Archaic.
and then try and communicate that between like the 6 different people on staff as well, and then find the fucking guy and then get the link and everything. And I heard that and I was like, you guys hate yourself. Like how are you doing this?
Yeah, and then we'd go,
That was
If there's
nah, we
one thing we're
love it.
good at,
We love it.
yeah, if there's one thing we're good at, it's slamming our head into the wall.
Yeah,
Make something
genuinely
work.
like they were just like slamming their head through like panes of glass every event, trying to figure out, and then picking up the pieces and looking at them and be like, "Okay, you're next." That
Yeah.
was the gameplay.
Wait, he was next, right? He was next, right? Please tell me.
Yeah, just like communicating, trying to figure
hope
out like
so.
who left and
That's
right.
his now.
I was like, "You guys fucking suck."
Yeah, and us and everybody else, right? Because like everybody was doing
Yeah.
that. It wasn't.
That
just
was kind of
us.
just like
Yeah.
the thing. So I was like, you know what? Let's turn it into like a fun gimmick. There were like a lot of issues that I thought about whenever I heard that as well, because like when you're in like this was kind of meant for like picking up new DJs and like trying out things, right? Because you don't know who's coming up. You don't have to have the rep to go first. You just come up to a person in the lobby that's an admin and then you ask. But the problem is if you're new to the scene, one, you don't know who the fuck the admins are. Two, anxiety, right? Like how
Yeah.
the fuck do you get through that?
100%. Yeah.
Right. So there was like a lot of blockades, the communication, the like anxiety of new players, etc., just not being familiar with the scene. So it was like, let's just do everything in game. Let's do everything in game.
Yeah. No more
So
Discord. No more.
no more Discord, no more bullshit.
Yeah.
Just what if we just let people sign up by themselves, and then all you have to do is look at the fucking thingy, press one button to randomize, and then call the player, and then they'll come to you right after that.
Right.
Sure.
And the coolest part about that is that everyone in the lobby knows. They're like, "Whoa!"
Everyone in the lobby
My
knows.
favorite
like, oh,
DJ is up next. Whoa!
yeah.
Okay,
if
I'm
you're
gonna
like in
stay
a
here.
group
Like,
of friends, and then your friend comes up, and you're like, "Oh, it's you." You know,
it's a
like,
cool thing, man. Yeah. So what's it
It's
called?
a real vibe. Flatline. Flatline was born. There it is.
Flatline.
There we
Shout
go.
out,
So
shout
we did
out Max,
V1.
right? Max came up with that
Yeah,
name.
that was
Shout out
Max's.
Max.
Original name, Flatline. We like designed the whole thing way back in the day, and it was like kind of our gimmick event. It was like our little thing for a long time. And after like a year of doing Flatline and having it be private, there was like a lot of heat in the community about open decks. I don't remember exactly what the problem was, but I
Well,
was like,
it's
you know
just
what?
it's exactly what you were saying. It's like, who's next?
Yeah,
And it's like,
there's
oh,
like there's a
communication.
lot of issues.
I'm next.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
like, no, it's my turn on the Xbox.
yeah, exactly.
And then it's like,
So I was
bro.
like,
Yeah.
I couldn't just share the system in and of itself because honestly, it was a pain in the ass to set up. I was
Right.
not a very good programmer at the time, and it required a lot of setup and janky shit. And there were a lot of features that I wish there were in there that just weren't present in the first version. Somebody from the staff team back in the day, Yuki, I think it was, told us like, hey, it would be really cool if we could like get the links as well, so that people could just put in their links themselves and then we
Right.
can grab them manually.
Making
So that was like
everything in game was like a big
everything
thing
in
for you.
game
Yeah.
needed to be like flawless directly in game. Just drag and drop, and then you're good to go. Right? That was the plan. Obviously, you can't make something truly drag and drop when it comes to that, because especially like due to like the fact that it's management and you need people to like still have some amount of input, it can't be truly automated. But we
Yeah.
got close enough, and it took me like a year to develop after I announced that there was going to be a V2 that was going to be public. But now we're here. A few weeks ago, I released it finally.
Let's
A lot
go.
of people really love it. Like the people that did download it are so adamant on like it
Out
being
now.
like
Out now. Where
out
can
now.
I find it? Where can I download it?
Flatline.lavy.gay. Yeah, flatline.lavy.gay.
So
Simple as that.
drag and drop into your Unity project, your world, your club, whatever, and
Add
you
whoever
can,
you need to your whitelist.
and you don't even
That's like
need
the big
to-
step.
You don't even need to randomize it. It can even just be like, hey, get in line,
Yeah.
right? Like that's a huge
That's also
thing.
one of the things that I really wanted, is that I wanted it to be like a full management system. So we have our gimmick, which is a randomize button, but the thing is that you can totally use it as like a regular OpenDex manager, because at the end of the day, all it is an interface where your DJs pull up and then they click add link, they put their VRCDN or YouTube or Twitch or whatever they're using, right? And then they click join, and it puts them in the list in order. You can reorder the list if you want. You can select whoever you want, right? You can delete
Can remove
people
you.
if like, yeah, they're being a nuisance or whatever. If they join, they leave the lobby, their name stays in there, because I didn't want to just like vanish people. So it can even be used for like regular events where you just ask people like, hey, can
Right.
you just put your link in there right for now, and then I can just grab it later, so you don't
If
have
you
to fumble around
yeah,
Discord and group chats and shit.
if you do open
So
decks,
yeah,
you get Flatline. Get
get
Flatline.
Flatline. That'll make your life.
Flatline.lavy.gay.
Yeah, that'll make your life a hell of a lot easier, hopefully. And if you have any gripes,
And the
join the
best
Discord,
part,
discord.livey.gay.
the
Same
best
shit.
part is that it's free.
Free, by
Right.
the way.
It's
Yeah.
completely free, yes.
It's free.
We did have a premium version, technically, that has like skins made by cat mails, but that's all
Meow.
they are. It's purely
Just-
skins.
Just some skins.
It's purely cosmetics. You
And
still
if
get
you-
100% of all the features.
And if you want your own custom skin, hit us up. You know, there's a Discord server for Flatline. Well, there's a Discord
Yeah.
server for all your tools that you're going to be putting out.
Soon.
And you know, before we jump into the next thing, which is really unreleased projects, I want to talk to both of you about like what makes a project unreleased, or you know, whether you're working on it or whether you put it in the folder. Yeah, you've got a lot coming out, man, and you really want to make accessible tools for people. You know, what your Discord server, remind me the name.
Discord.livey.gay. It's just straight up that Lavy's toolbox.
Lavy's toolbox. You know, Lavy's making all that shit, and you know, if you need help figuring out how to drag and drop something in, it's not that easy. But you're trying to make it that easy. That's like
I'm trying to make
thing.
it that easy, because we talked about it earlier. Not everyone has the skill set of an entire team of people, right? You can't just be a one-man machine for everything. And
Right.
I think of myself as a very technical artist, and you have to understand that people aren't stupid, but you gotta make sure that even the stupidest person you know is able to do cool things if they want to, especially when it comes to
That's me.
graphics.
That's
While
me.
we say like while we do say, oh, gameplay first, gameplay first, gameplay first, this is VR chat. Most people are gonna want to relax or like go to clubs or do
It's
things
user
like
experience first.
it's user experience first. And
Yes.
visuals are part of the user experience in a way. So the next thing that I'm gonna be releasing is a post-processing setup. You've probably seen some of my stuff. I had some on my own names. I've done 3 menus so far, 2 that were public, and then 1 that was exclusively basically for Wispy and Refuge. The new one that I'm working on, though, is really
So
interesting
this
because
is
of a few
unreleased.
things.
The
So
post
for now,
processing menu. Yeah.
unreleased stuff.
Hell yeah.
So we lead into it, but soon it's going to be released. And so what's special about V4? All right. This is like the full shill like setup for me. I'm so sorry. This feels like an ad, but
so
I don't know. It's just cool.
This is something you're gonna work on, or that you're working on putting.
I'm actively working on
in
currently.
your toolbox, and it ties into a lot of what you've done with Artsy, a lot of other creators as well. It's making your world look good and letting people customize that experience, right? If they don't want it to be
post-processing,
you know, super bright, or you know, they're a fan of a certain type of way they chill in a map, whether it's nighttime, daytime, or you know, there's so many layers to post-processing, and I do want to get into that. How do you see V4 changing the game for people in VR?
First of all, post-processing is extremely important in a map because a lot of people have different like ways of seeing the world in a way. This is kind of philosophical, right? I'm not English. I'm so sorry. I kind of suck at saying some words, but philosophical. Thank you. There we go. In like the way that we perceive a lot of worlds, a lot of people don't like bloom, for example, which VRChat added a dedicated bloom slider, but also there's like a lot of settings that you could customize. If you want to give that power to your people, I've had all these UIs put out before that let people tweak out every little like slider of the post-processing directly in game. What's changing though about V4 is, as the world creator, before you had to set up those sliders as like a default in the first place, which was really annoying. Not a great setup. The first one used animations. The second one used like direct scripting, and it was a little ass because you had to modify like 3 values for each thing. This time around, I wanted to make it really easy. So whenever you spawn in the menu, you have a little window with every setting, and it's just automatically setting up everything for you, and you just have to change the sliders however you want the map to look, and it just applies everything directly.
Hell
That's the
yeah.
first part. Second part is the return of presets. I've completely revamped the preset setting for it to be like very easily editable. So it's also going to be directly in the editor where you can just set up whatever you want, right? You set up your preset like you want something really, really bright. So you set up the exposure up and then you can save that as a unique preset. We're going to also have preset packs from the community and myself, bringing back some of the old stuff and also having a lot of photographers, like people that just like have different vibes, right? We're going to have little preset packs that you can just drag and drop into your scene and then have your user pick out through.
Hell yeah.
The most important thing about these preset packs, though, is that you'll also be able to do them in game. And I'm still working on the feature, but I want it to be able to be shared by multiple people. I want to be able to put out like
Oh,
if
that's
a
good.
user like makes a really cool post-processing setup, right? Sometimes you want to share it with your friends, but going up to the menu and being like, oh, you turned this slider up to
Yeah,
like
you gotta
24%.
30.
It's a good 5-minute ordeal.
No,
Yeah.
your other left. Never mind.
Yep.
Let's go to a
Yeah,
different world.
it's absolute fucking hell. So what if you could just copy something, send them over like to Discord or like just even with a button and be like, here, have my preset. That'd be cool,
That's
right?
sick. That's sick.
Mhm.
Like a little code
That'd be pretty
that
nice.
you just
hmm
yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
just a code. You shove that in, and then it does everything
That's
automatically
sick.
for you. And now you've added a new preset to your preset bar.
It's funny because Soap loves the I don't know if you guys know this aesthetic, but it's like the vaporwave / lean aesthetic. He loves it when everything's purple and then your eyes are like green. So he's like, dude, and we ran into that same issue. He's like, all right, you got to turn this slider to
Yep.
20, and I'm like, dude, I just want to listen to music, but it's a cool preset. I wish he could have just shot me the code.
Yeah. So
That'd been
nowadays
great.
it's going to be a hell of a lot easier to share. The codes are
great.
probably not going to be very small, but we are. I think we're going to be able to make codes that aren't too terrible for people to use.
Sick.
And the final thing, because that's not all, it's cool that you have codes and post processing and all that, but VRChat added persistence. I heard.
Let's
right?
go. Shout out the devs.
So yeah,
Thanks, guys. Thank
now
you.
if you set up something, it's going to persist with an autosave system. And you also get 2 different slots for different moods, maybe, or like setups, right? Especially if you're like a photographer and you have something that you really want to like, get
Yeah, or
through,
like-
you can shove that on slot 1. And if you have like your own custom night mode, you can have it on slot 2.
I was gonna
something like
say
that,
night
right?
mode, day mode, right? Like let me
You can make your own.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that's like, I want to pack all of these features. Most of them are done. The only thing that's really left at this point is the code sharing system, basically. I have ideas on how I want to do it, but the problem is that it's a lot of data. Like a lot of data. So I have to figure out a way to like, compress the codes as best as I can so that they're not just like 700 characters of data that you have to paste in. I want
Right.
them to be a little bit more usable. They're probably not going to be something that you can just say over voice, unfortunately, but I want something that fits into a Discord message. At least.
Totally. Well, fuck yeah, dude. Lavy's Toolbox. That shit's gonna be dope. And these
Yep.
are a couple tools you can get. One that's available for free. Again, flatline.lavy.gay. Go check that out. If you want some help, make sure you join the Discord, discord.gg. Help me out.
No, just discord.livey.gay.
Oh,
Simple as that.
discord.lavy.gay. There you go.
Pretty much all of my stuff will forever be just like that, where it's like something.lavy.gay. It's going to be the simplest thing, so you can always figure it out. Like, oh, you want the discord.lavy.gay. You want flatline.lavy.gay. You want the post-processing.lavy.gay.
Yeah, and I
That's
know
gonna be that.
Labby's gonna wanna. He always pokes us to test stuff, so I'm sure you're always looking for people to break their worlds and all that
Always looking
stuff,
for people to test.
Jump in
The
that
post-processing
Discord.
stuff. Yep.
Yeah.
If you want to test out, the post-processing stuff is not out to the public yet, but if you want to test it, you go to most of the Refuge events and Artsy's newest worlds.
Yeah, I was gonna
Area
mention
7.
that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Let's
Area
go.
7's using an I believe earlier version, kind of prototype
It doesn't
version.
have, yeah, it's still prototype. It doesn't have the presets, but it does have persistence. So you do get at least saved like settings every time
Oh,
you
that's
go
great.
there.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
can
never have
edit.
to set them back up again.
That's sick, actually. Yeah, because there's so many times I won't call you out on this actually, but there's so many times where I wanted to keep a setting in Wildflower, and I'm like, damn, every time. All right,
And now it's the real deal. And once the thing is
but
like done, maybe if we have enough time and energy to do it, we'll go through like the worlds to maybe add it, but we'll see. It's all depending on
yeah,
like if we want to go through the hassle of like actually updating everything, because that's hell.
this might be
That's
the
hell.
first time where I take a piss in the middle of the thing.
Oh my god! Yeah, we've been going for a long time.
No,
My
we'll
recording
cut,
is over an hour.
we'll cut this or whatever. But yeah, hold on, I gotta
Just
pee.
say they're gonna pee.
Oh,
They're
little bit of a
peeing.
pisser.
Look at him.
You guys can talk about whatever. I'm just
I'm
we're
gonna go off frame because I'm totally also not gonna go pee.
Yeah,
Oh shit! Damn.
I've been
Piss break?
slamming water, man. My throat is drier.
Yeah, you're so real for that. I fucking chugged my monster at the end of the day. Yo, are they piss goblins? Grok, is this true? Gawk.
Gawk.
Ladies and gentlemen, a Twitter user.
Okay.
Oh,
we
great!
should
Look
get
at
into
the answer that I got.
We should get into that at some point. That would be really fun.
We shouldn't. I might say
No.
Maybe we
Put me
shouldn't.
on the
Maybe
list.
we shouldn't.
Guys,
Gawk,
shout
is this
out
true?
Artsy.Republican. Check it out.
No.
Dude, I'm gonna buy that just for the bit. Fucking redirect that shit to your worlds.
20 minutes ago, I was talking about how my whole lore is like, oh yeah, so these like terrible corporations that are super terrible, we're like taking over everything because they super duper suck. Maybe I'll make a 3D model of a guillotine. I'm gonna go pee.
Just
Yo, that would
really
go
hammer
hard.
in the fucking like fact that we're all like hardcore leftists.
Legalize
Fuck
guillotines.
billionaires. Legalize guillotines for fucking dude. Anybody who has more than $100 million to their name, get rid of them. Like they do. You are a fucking dragon that is hoarding all the money in the world. You can go fuck yourself. I'm living on $300 a fucking month when I get a good month. Fuck you. You don't need money. You don't need none of that shit, motherfucker. Thank God this is gonna get cut,
Republican.
right? Artsy Republican.
Yeah.
Make America caked again. Ugh.
I didn't think I would have to pee, but then I look at Artsy and she's got her legs crossed. Like I'm like, damn, we both have to pee, don't we, bro? Like,
Yeah, a bit of a
straight
pisser. Yeah. Thinking about that leak.
Once you
Are
see
you in the
me-
toilet right now?
Once you no, I'm back. I'm back. I do have to
Okay.
wash my hands though. I won't be right back.
Oh,
Gross.
dude. I would
Sorry.
pay some good money to get Melt's pissy controllers. I'm
My
just
pee
saying.
hands? No, I took
Yeah,
the
dude.
controllers off. I just forgot.
Ah, god damn it, dude.
Unlucky.
Imagine that mix of like sweat and piss. I'd be licking that fucking like the
No.
oh.
My pee hands. Nah, bro.
The gamer gunk, dude.
The
Cat
gamer
vulture.
gunk. Yeah, dude.
Oh,
I have a confession to make. I've had
Mhm.
my keyboard for 14 years and I've never washed it.
What? Dude, you gotta take the caps off and wash
yeah,
that
you
shit.
gotta
I have
get in
now.
there.
Never
Well, he's got the
taken the caps
membrane.
off.
He's screwed.
Yeah.
Membrane.
He's got the like gel
It's a membrane keyboard.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like
Dude,
a piece
what?
of plastic that accrues
It's
dirt.
a fake, like it's supposed to be like a fake gamer keyboard where it's like it's got a membrane, but all the keys are like mechanical keycaps. So it's
Oh.
like half mushy, but it also has the nice clicks.
Yeah, all your favorite devs have the grossest keyboards, right?
Oh
Is that
yeah,
not the-
dude. You know a programmer? They're a sweaty gamer gunked up keyboard motherfucker.
They're using
Like,
a $4 keyboard
yeah,
from
dude.
like 20 years ago.
No, okay. I think this is like I don't remember the name. It's not a Black Widow. It's something that came before, but it's a Razer keyboard, like a Chroma or some shit.
Okay.
Like OG line from fucking like 2012 or some shit like that.
I have my 14 still.
Yeah.
2014. It's still kicking.
Shout
It's
out.
Sophia's keyboard now.
I don't know about the quality of stuff today, but back in the day, Razer was the shit. Like,
Yeah.
oh my
No, this
god.
shit's like made out of metal. It's like heavier than my fucking monitor, dude. It's stupid.
They were also like
Why?
my first pair of headphones were Razers, and they were really good. They were super comfortable, massive. They had like a genuinely decent mic for the time as well.
I skipped over the gamer headset thing because I went from Xbox like Astros,
Yeah.
and I was like, I might as well just get like actual studio headphones because a Breckful enjoyer, and he's
Yeah.
always he always showed those
Breckful.
things.
My goat.
Yeah, 07, dude.
07. Shout
Dude,
out
I wrote
Breckful.
a whole song on this bad boy. So we're good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
I feel like you
Yeah.
can just
What do
make
you got? The
anything.
Logitechs?
You could just no, I got the Corsairs, bro. You already know.
Oh, of course,
Yep.
there's okay.
The what are they called when they stop making them? They stopped
Oh my
making
god, I
these.
have no fucking idea.
Yeah, discontinued.
cool.
They discontinued,
Discontinued.
the Virtuoso. It's L
Virtuoso.
because it was such a good mic for streamers because they didn't need like that fat mic, you know, the Shure
Yeah.
SM7B. You would just buy this thing. same
Everyone
quality.
used the fucking shirt, dude. Holy
Yeah.
fucking shit.
The girl
Dude.
I was helping stream and she used this, and I'm
Oh
like,
my
your
God.
voice sounds amazing. And everyone in chat would say the same thing. They're like, what
Yeah.
mic are you using? She's like,
It's such a good mic.
this thing.
Shockingly so.
So I bought it. I was like, I need that.
Yeah, it sounds great. To me, at least.
Right? I'm using like a third party mic, but it's the whatever they're using to make it 24-bit in here makes it 24-bit. So it's like very nice registry of
There you get the full flow,
all the hertz. Yeah.
full detail, full
So-
bullshit.
Bro, Steam Audio 1.
Steam Audio when, dude? It's in beta soon.
Oh,
Soon
God.
TM.
I'm
I
actually not
say
ready
that
for
as
that.
if it hasn't been in alpha for like 7 years at this point.
Forever.
I need
yeah.
to hold on, because Orals made a website for it. Let me go check it out. I don't remember
A
what
website?
the name is. Yeah.
Well, like setting comparisons or something.
No. I'll send it in the GC.
Okay.
I just need to.
Also, start thinking about some good or bad advice that you've given or taken. That's going to be the next you too. I think all of us
Yeah.
are going to chime in on that. I don't think I will because I don't like actively make worlds, but you do.
I've got
and
so much to say, dude.
all three of you do. So
Yeah. Where the fuck is it?
What was mine last time? I think it was pretty. Oh, iterate.
Yep.
Iteration. Yeah.
Try
Iterate.
That's
again.
like
Yeah.
hella important. Because I see so many people just like they just use their one scene Andes, bro. Like what the hell?
Yeah, no.
Please don't do that.
that's huge. That's great advice.
Vixel's the worst about it, bro. Every time he changes the boat, he changes the boat. You know what I mean? He doesn't just
right. Like
go
there's
back to the
no-
old scene. Like
That's
if you
bad.
wanted to do the refuge thing, you'd have to do it again. I don't think
What?
you'd
Every
save
time.
the scene of it. Yeah, which is stupid. Absolutely stupid.
I fucking found it. Oh my god. Watch this shit.
I mean, yeah, eventually it would be cool to do these podcasts where like we do bring something up and then it comes up on that screen and we all just kind of like turn and look at it for like a minute. That would be
Yeah.
sick. One day.
I mean, technically, we can do that and do it in
post.
post process if you want to, like, cut out our heads or some shit. But yeah, that's hell.
That'd be a little tough.
I'd have to write it in. I'd have to be like, all right, we're all gonna watch this clip or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But soon.
Fake it.
That would be cool.
Check
'cause
the
I think
fucking
a lot
website,
of people
dude.
like that.
Okay.
That shit's so funny.
Is Steam Audio update yet? No. Oh my god.
Yeah.
100 days? Dude, that is
Yeah.
crazy.
It's
Rip.
been in a like private alpha
3
for
years? 4 years?
so long, dude.
No
Ever since
way.
I've been playing this game, basically.
Oh, by the way, the next section
Well, at least
is
it's making
good
progress.
or bad advice you've given or taken.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Soon.
All right.
TM.
Something to
chair.
think about.
Get in my chair. Yeah, I mean, who wants to kick that off? Because we'll just smooth right into it. I'll say something.
Dude, if I
Mehdi,
kick it
you-
off, I'm talking for the next 30 minutes. So.
Mehdi, you want to go first? You want to go first on the iteration stuff?
Yeah, sure. Since I'm thinking about it, yeah.
Perfect. Oh, some water in me.
And boom, we're back. Mid sip. Because I hate you.
Shout out toilets. You know,
Boiler
where
room?
would
No, toilets.
where would we be? Where would we be as a society without indoor plumbing? You know what I mean?
Big fan of pissing.
I can
Big
tell you
time.
my leg would be pretty wet.
Dude, we'd still be using chamber pots. Oh my goodness gracious.
Welcome back to the
Yep.
bathroom
We're
podcast.
regular people. Bathroom podcast.
Where we all have bladders. We're not just anime girls. We're not just furries. We
Whoa, inclusion.
are real human beings. Just like you out there. Watching this
Really?
right now. Thanks for tuning in. We jumped off the boat with your guys' unreleased we didn't really get to talk too much about Artsy's unreleased projects. I mean,
actually.
I guess before we jump into the next section, yeah, what's something that stopped you from putting out a project, a map, an idea? What really? I think you were talking about scale creep earlier a little bit.
We had Okinawa and a couple of other maps that did not see the light of day for different reasons. But I think Okinawa is like one of the more interesting ones. So if you want to start off, feel free.
Yeah, what are some
Yeah, I mean,
unreleased on your end, Artsy?
yeah, I guess we could start with the Cyber Love Okinawa, which was it did make it till release. But if anyone's ever seen that map, they'd notice it's just kind of like a single room with a balcony and kind of backdrop area. But originally the map was 1, 2, 3, 4 stories if you count the bar. So it had this whole, it was supposed to be like pretty much this whole kind of like section of a city. It was going to be pretty much the whole building, going down like 2 or 3 floors. Then there was like a courtyard, and I was going to do like a kind of nightclub bar area, like down some like stairs off the street pretty much.
Okay.
And that project, I modeled pretty much the whole thing. And then I started kind of going through and trying to texture things and optimize things and kind of organize the project to, eventually release it. About like a quarter way through that, I realized there's no freaking way in hell I'm going to be able to do all of this. So I cut it to just that one room.
Yeah, I was going to
Yeah.
say, it's just the one floor on Okinawa, right?
Yeah.
We even
Yeah.
tried to do like a 2.5 floor version, which when we attempted to put it in Unity, we were unironically running into like full on physical limitations of computers at that point.
Wasn't going to
Like
happen.
already with just 2 floors, it was too much. Just texture wise, poly wise, like everything was just so much that things were just breaking down. And there's something about Artsy's projects where she is cursed. Like every
True.
time she makes a new project,
Yeah,
there's some
explain
kind
that.
of obscure errors.
I want to hear. I want to hear from your side. What kind of freaks you out when you start getting deep into the map making? What's like some of the crazy stuff that you've seen and encountered?
It's something different every time. It's fucked.
Because it sounds like you have like a ghost in your room sometimes.
Oh, yeah,
when this
I
shit
mean,
happens.
I got some weird luck when it comes to tech. I think it doesn't help that I'm very much not a technically minded person. I'm not good at scripts like how I can't even get my prefabs to work in between projects. But yeah, I mean with my kind of like technological illiteracy, the issues that I encounter in Unity, most of the time I'm gonna, ask someone like Lavy or any one of my other friends who are more into the programming or or, kind of functionality side of things. And most of the time they have an answer, like some way to help me or some way to kind of teach me like what I did wrong. But there have been many, like an unusual amount of times where we've run into issues that are like, that's not
What the fuck?
possible.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Like, what?
Genuinely.
That's
It's
crazy.
hard to come up with
Has it ever
examples.
It's hard.
Has it ever killed a project entirely in your, or have you always found a way around it?
I don't think
can't
that, like,
think.
once something's in Unity, typically I'm gonna find a way, because like
you're gonna figure it out.
To get into Unity with one of my projects is quite a an accolade.
Right. That's half the
'Cause
battle.
a lot of my projects,
That's half the battle, is just getting
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
Unity, right? So you create in Blender now. It used to be Pro Builder years ago when you were a student of the game.
For people that don't know, Pro Builder is like an add-on to Unity itself that you can just like model directly in Unity.
I didn't even know that.
I don't recommend it.
So
Go
now
in Blender.
It's terrible.
you
Go in
completely
Blender.
you make everything in Blender now, and then half the battle is putting that into Unity, which is the game engine. Am I right on this?
Yep.
The
It's
game
a game
engine
yep.
that VR Chat uses to make all this. Make
Yeah.
this happen. So,
Which, shout out VR Chat, by the way, for being such a free platform that gives us basically like 80% of the functionality of a real game engine. That is just insane.
yeah, that's sick.
Opens up so
Unity is
much
our
freedom of
matrix.
create. Yeah, it is genuinely our matrix. It's overused now, but before it was, lame. Our metaverse, right? It's like we have access to so much freedom, and it has birthed so much like insane creativity.
Right.
And there's like people in our community that have like gotten PhDs and like gotten insane jobs
Gotten jobs.
thanks to this.
That's huge.
Yeah, like me. Yeah.
Shout out.
I got to work at Meta thanks to VR Chat. They picked me up because of like some weird stuff that I was making back in the day. And all the like those nerds that make like shaders, if you've ever heard of like those things like LTCGI, Area Lit, like some crazy like shader shit that they're doing, whatever those magicians are doing, right? Like people have
They're doing the
created
math.
amazing
They're
things.
crunching the numbers.
Yeah.
All in here.
Shout out VR Chat.
Shout
all
out
in
VR
here.
Chat.
And the limitations make people like think about that stuff more. It's so much fun. The like horrible jank that people come up with to figure out, like, not quite exploit the engine, but like pretty close to exploiting the engine to like do some really insane and cool stuff.
I wanted to
Like
So shout out.
leashes.
Yeah.
The leash system is so funny.
God.
I wanted to jump on like advice, because we've talked so much about what you guys have done, what you're doing, what might happen, what might never come out. But I feel like someone's at fault, right? Whether in a good way or in a bad way. And that's always a fun story to talk about. So like, what's some like good advice, some bad advice that you'd give, or maybe you've taken, and it's really kind of paved the way for your workflow, how you see things, as a creator? I think that's such a important thing. None of us really went to school. Some of us have, out there. I went to school for this stuff, and I've taken lots of good and bad advice for design. And I feel like now I kind of just have an opinion on everything. And sometimes that opinion isn't right. But honestly, every artist is different. So, I mean, Mehdi, what's some good or bad advice you've taken over the years in the world creation side of stuff?
Good advice? Basically anything Lavy says, to be honest. But
We'll get to me at last because I have got so much to say.
But
Professor.
I would really say like just iteration in general. Like specifically like when you're gonna do a major change to your world, save as a new scene. Okay? And then you'll always have the old scene. In case something breaks, or in case you just want like I don't know, you want to make like a Christmas version of your world.
Save
for instance,
as
right? Like
new file.
You just swap it up.
Just kidding.
New
That's
scene,
not
but
it's
yeah,
new scene. Okay.
New scene.
Same
It's the
thing.
same.
Same
It is a
thing.
file at the end of the day. The
Yeah.
scene. So
Okay.
that works.
Just it's okay to have two of the same thing. 'Cause
Yeah,
then
same
you'll
with
have the old
avatars. I
one
mean,
later.
it's like
Yep.
honestly, like everything. You should just do that with everything, like Photoshop, Figma files, fucking everything, dude. I don't know.
Yep.
There's no
If you
reason
can afford the
not to.
space,
Yep.
scene files are like really condensed, so they're not too much of a problem. But if you can afford the like space on your computer, duplicate your projects if
Straight up
you
your
don't want to
projects.
get into what's it called, version control. If
Yeah.
you're technically inclined, you can look into version control. There's SCMs, or I'd recommend for beginners looking into Turtle. It's a really easy to use, or
Shout out Turtle.
Plastic. Yeah,
Oh
Turtle
yeah.
or Plastic. Those two like SCM solutions are super friendly to beginners, but you still need to be fairly technically inclined. Back up your projects, iterate. Back up your projects, iterate.
I hear that
Fucking
all the time.
absolutely.
Back
Real.
up your projects. Like, yeah, because you might have a really sick idea that you had like half a year
It's
ago.
on your old 20-year.
And then you're
old
working
hard
on
drive.
something new and you're like, wait,
Yeah.
I've been here before. Hold on. And then you just go back. you yoink
If you
it
don't want
from
to
the old
redo
one.
everything, yeah, you gotta
Right.
just pull back and hope that shit doesn't break, because
Okay,
time
so-
wears everything.
Save your shit, iterate. What's some bad advice you taking? There's got to be something out there where you're like, damn.
I'm gonna pass.
All right, okay. Lavy. What you got? What you got for
No,
the
dude,
good,
I'm not going because I'm
Okay.
about to rant for 30 minutes.
good, bad, ugly advice? Give it to us straight, Artsy.
You know, I've been trying to think. And
You know, there's so many creators
Can't-
out there, you know, and they want to do it for the first time, or they've been doing it for a long time and want to level up. You know, they want to look cool or whatever. What's kind of like, what do you think are your instincts that you follow that make your maps super cool?
I mean, I think for me, I kind of fit like a certain niche. The way I work, I do not recommend to anybody, because
Right.
like I'll spend an hour staring at like 3 vertices and debate on like which direction they should be facing. But I mean, honestly, my good advice to people would be, don't be too detail oriented.
Says the most detail oriented
I
girl
know.
you know.
Wow.
It works for me,
Learn-
but look
learn
at
from her
my output
mistakes.
schedule.
Yeah.
I mean,
Why is
yeah,
that?
I mean,
Why would you say don't get too crazy in the details if you're starting out?
because well, especially if you're starting
Perfectionism will
out,
kill you. Yeah.
You'll never
Yeah.
release it.
Finish your
exactly.
projects. That's something that's important. Yeah.
What got you over your finish line when you were starting to make stuff? Like, what was like, I gotta get this done. It's out. It's like,
Adderall and a slowly bettering coping skills. No, but I mean, like it's
Don't do drugs.
unless they're
But
prescribed.
Yep.
to you, but yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of like any like general advice that I've heard. But I work in such a weird niche. Like my workflow is very chaotic and like very not like industry standard. Like I taught myself everything kind of from scratch, and I do so many things wrong that I wouldn't even be able to tell you what I'm doing wrong. I think here's one. I guess I kind of mentioned this earlier, but don't bother with like Pro Builder. Like if you want to learn to make 3D art, if you want to do environments or assets or avatars or anything, start with the program you think you're going to use. Like it's worth it. You can do it. It'll be intimidating at first, but like don't waste your time like with training wheels, you know? Figure out your system. for me in Blender, I use the space tool to search, and that's how I learned my vocabulary words for Blender and everything. I recommend that if you can probably Google that and see what that means. But yeah, I mean, just go at it.
Yeah. There's some really good advice in there that I also want to like extrapolate on. Um, the problem with stuff like Pro Builder is that you're working in a niche within a niche because you're already like VRChat is kind of akin to game making, right? So you're still going to find a lot of resources that are going to work for you, but the problem with Pro Builder is that you're using Unity, which limits you from the broader spectrum of game engines and 3D modeling in the first place. Then you're using a specific asset on Unity, which Pro Builder is not even the only one. So the amount of resources that you're going to find to try and learn are going to be really, really low or low quality. When you're picking up something like Blender, it's really popular because it's free, it's open source, and everyone and their mother have done like tutorials on like the most niche stuff that you're gonna want to try and find. So, for example, one of the great resources that you can use as a beginner is go through oh my god, what is she called? Black Cat Lady. Spooky Ghosts.
Spooky Ghosts,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, Spooky Ghosts videos. She's made 2 at this point of like how to make your first world from scratch. Those are incredible because they use Blender. They're directly to VRChat. They're very high quality. They're gonna be like 2 hours long, and they're gonna cover pretty much most of what you need as like a beginner. So that's a great resources to like go through.
Hell yeah. You don't have to go into debt for this shit. You can literally just go on YouTube and just learn straight out the
Yep.
gate. You don't got to go to no university. It might be fun. You might meet some cool people there on the same level, but there's such a community for it here now. I think I got a good one, right? My advice
Yeah.
is follow your heart. As cheesy as that sounds, right? Like have fun and like meet some people that are doing it too. Ask questions, you know, meet a Lavy, meet an Artsy, meet a Medi.
This was gonna be like
Yeah.
my one weird point that I was gonna talk
Yeah.
about. If you want to get into world creation, if you want to do it alone, and if you're scared of hitting up like somebody in the community, um, watch Spooky Ghost stuff. But the best way that you're gonna be learning is finding a nerd that's gonna take you in as their like pet experiment or something.
Yeah,
Like
because we can all learn from each other, right? That's like the biggest
we are
thing.
such a community of like this is okay, this is gonna sound mean, but I genuinely mean this in the most like nice way imaginable. People
God,
on
please.
VR chat, the creators of VR chat are here and we're all mega autistic nerds. All right.
Okay.
We have
Cut that-
such
cut
a
that out, cut
thirst.
that out.
No, no, like we us included, right? We
Mm.
have such a thirst for like we're so all passionate into this thing, and if you want to learn, find yourself some like dubious nerd that you like their worlds, or like that is in like a niche community that you want to enter, and trick yourself into getting a passion for this thing. Like
Right. Be excited, but don't be weird. Right?
yeah, be
Like,
excited, don't be weird,
Yeah.
be calm, be willing to learn,
right.
be willing to
open your
accept
ears.
criticism, and like
Right.
be ready to take in some hits, but
I think
there's
that's the
so
biggest
much to this.
I think that's the biggest piece of advice we all get all the time, whether it's us showing each other stuff or asking for criticism, is so underrated. I feel like as someone who wants to learn more, it's hard to learn when there's nobody around you. So for me as a designer, I always ask my friends, I'm like, yo, does this look cool? And as simple as that question is, sometimes my friends go, dude, I can't read that. What does that say? And I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's because I'm using green on top of green. Okay, does this look cool now that I changed green to white? They go, dude, I can read that. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
sick. It can be criticism down to the basics, down to like, hey, I don't like the feng shui in here, right? Like these couches a little bit crazy for me right now. But
Yep.
you know, it's like at the same time, I feel like criticism is the advice artists give each other all the time, and super underrated. And it can be bad You know, and nobody's right all the
On the
time, but
topic of criticism,
nobody's
yes.
wrong all the time. I mean, there's some truth in every critique. I feel like you can always put yourself aside, you know, you being like, I don't want to hear it right now. Just put yourself aside, you know, just hear what they got to say. They're not going to talk forever. And try to pull whatever they're saying into your own mind and be like, okay, what if I did change this up? What if I did change the color? You know, you got to do it all the time, but I feel like some of the times it's a game changer. Really, critique and criticism, it's a game changer.
Critique is so unbelievably important, and there's a pitfall that people fall into on both sides of this coin, where if you're a beginner, there's going to be, we talked about it before, a lot of vocabulary that you're not going to understand. There's some specific jargon that's like to the thing, and as like an instructor, you're going to say these things naturally because they're part of your language now, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't understand a word, or you like are
Just
trying to
ask.
look for something, ask
Just
away,
ask.
Google it, go
Yeah.
into a community, right? And ask like, hey guys, I'm trying to do this thing. I don't understand if I'm missing out on like some context that I'm supposed to have or something. And more often than not, you're gonna find one of those nerds in the Discord that's gonna be sniped and gonna be like, oh yeah, that's that actually. They're gonna want to correct you or
Right.
help you really
Right.
badly. There's
Yeah.
always one.
Yeah.
I feel like Mehdi and I
Uh,
have become fucking such a team when it comes to critique. I don't know. I feel like we
Yeah, real.
whether
Real.
it's
We can
me
be
on the
like
posters or him
brutally
on the
honest
mural.
with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're just like, no, yeah, like I get what you're saying. Like,
We
'cause
know we're not going to
the-
offend each other, so we just go
Yeah.
at it.
yeah, we're not
It's
like
great.
attacking each other's ego or whatever. Like, there's, I don't know. We're both trying to improve what we're doing. So
Yep.
Yeah.
finding that is super important.
There's been this is kind of adjacent to all of this stuff, but there's been a club recently that hit me up because they wanted to book some really like highbrow DJ that can't just go about anywhere because they've got like a actual like giant fan base and following. And they hit us up and they were like, "Hey, we really want you guys to come and play at our club." And it's like, yeah, we're down. The only problem is that we're gonna saturate your club and we're gonna bring in like a lot of our people, but we also want to expand our community at the end of the day. So we also want you to have a sizable community and bring like a certain level of quality to what you're gonna be like giving. And they admitted that they're a beginner, but they're willing to learn. And we got to give them pointers on like what is good practice on how to like model things to make them look good and optimized and all of that stuff. So like if you manage to genuinely find somebody that's got enough time to tell you what's wrong without being insulting, that's your guy. Like
Yeah.
hold on to
Yeah.
that stuff. Don't be scared to ask your shit and go off. Like
And we've done that at Refuge. We've done that so much. I feel like we've had a lot
Yeah.
of people come to us as new clubs or, you know, new world makers, even
Yeah,
down to
give them like a crash course.
yeah, even down to DJing. You know, it's like, hey man, how did you just put D&B into a house track and like how did you do that? We just go,
that's
oh
like
dude,
the classic bit.
well, let me tell you. And then it becomes like 30 minutes of us just nerding out. I feel like you said, find that
Yeah.
nerd, right? In the BC.
Yep, find that nerd.
They'll
And
help
if you
you
want to
out.
just like look up stuff, I'm gonna give like a little bit of a list of like things that you can look up. I already mentioned the spooky ghost videos about making your first homeworld. Those are really good. One of the bad advices that people give is, oh, you're getting into Blender? Do the donut. Don't do the donut. If you're here for like making VRChat worlds, the donut tutorial is all about making art and rendering. When you're making art and rendering, you're gonna deal with absurdly high poly stuff. You're gonna deal with Blender specific things. When you're making stuff for games, you have to understand that you're gonna export it, and not every feature is gonna be one to one. So
Yeah.
you want to look up some specific things. So you want to look up tutorials on like how to make one specific asset. Like, oh, I want to start off by making a chair, right? I want to start off by making a couch. I want to make a room next, right? And figuring out how to use all of these tools where you're going to understand what a vertex is, which is one point in space, an edge, which is 2 points connected, a try, which is 3 points connected, making a face, right? All of these things are like basics, but you need someone to tell you about them in the first place. And that can be in the form of a tutorial, but you also got to find the right resources. So look into
Yeah,
specifically what you
game
want.
ready
Game
asset
ready
is
or
what you're
VR
looking for.
chat, right? Game ready assets. Game ready assets. You always want to look at game ready tutorials. That's the most important part.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I wanted to say too, like probably the most frustrating thing when I'm trying to help somebody is when they don't like know a fundamental thing, but they don't ask you what it is. They just
Yeah.
like move on. It's like
Always ask
the most
questions.
basic thing.
Yeah.
It's like when I'm like, okay, in the hierarchy, click this game object, and they're like,
Bro, what's a hierarchy?
what's a hierarchy? And but they don't say that. You know,
They
Bro.
don't
I
say
just
that.
I
They're
could
just
see that
struggle.
through their
Right.
Yeah.
stream. They're just like moving around the mouse, trying to find the game object. I'm like, dude, what? Do you not know what the hierarchy is?
The
Like
hierarchy. The lid.
Yep.
The lid.
the
The
lid, the
lid.
lid, the
The
lid.
lid.
The salami lid. Yeah.
Well, that's
One
so
thing that I want to
funny.
go over as well is like
Sure.
the order of operations that you're going to be doing. Your first thing that you're going to want to do, especially if you're like making your first world in VR chat, start with one bedroom, because that's going to teach you everything that you need to know. First of all, lay down your blueprint, your ground plan, right? You plan out your floors, then you build up some walls. You don't do the ceiling yet because you're going to put a lot of stuff in there, and you do the ceiling later down the line when you've got your box like filled in, right? So you build up your walls, then you select a position to put your bed in. Maybe like one place where you're going to put a door, maybe a window that leads to nothing. You don't have to have a fancy outside yet, right? That comes down later. Figure out how to make a cuck chair like in every hotel room, right? Put a table down, make a TV, right? Very simple assets, right? Make a pot, something like that. Once you got all of these things modeled down, you've looked up your game ready asset tutorials and stuff like that, you got to put it in Unity. Export it as something that's compatible with Unity. Most people use FBX. It's not the best format, absolutely, but it's going to work and it's the most popular one. So go with that for now because you're going to find more tutorials about it. Once you're in Unity, you've got to learn about Unity, figure out the movement around the scene, figure out what a game object is. As they said earlier, you've got the hierarchy that's going to be by default on the left, the inspector that's going to be on the right, the scene view that's going to be in the center, and at the bottom, you've got your project files. All right. Once you've exported your models, that goes into the project file. You're going to drag and drop that into the hierarchy that creates a game object. A game object is a container that has a lot of stuff, right? I'm going through, sorry, I hit my mic. I'm going through the whole thing, right? But you've got those containers that have all the data about like what the fuck your scene is going to look like, right? And that's where you get started. Now you've got the basics of Blender and Unity down. Congratulations. You're free to go and do whatever the fuck kind of niche thing you do.
Professor Lavy.
We
Yeah.
gotta have a notification that pops up every time you gotta take notes on the podcast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just like bing. Get your
Yeah.
notepad
I've just
out.
given you
It's time to
I've
take
given you
notes.
in that like 1 minute breakdown, I've given you 90% of all the vocabulary that you'll ever need to figure out how to upload a world on VR chat in the first place.
What's crazy is that like I spent so long like looking for that information, and
It's nowhere.
I couldn't fucking find
It's
it, so I
nowhere.
just like learned it all myself. You
I
know,
really need
and
to make
that's
like
the
a
worst part
series
about
of
this shit.
tutorial that goes through literally every step in detail with like tiny
Yeah.
breakdowns like that just like
I-
recap everything from before.
An ad
I think the most
slowly
useful
creeps
thing was
on the screen.
Orals. Hello. Orals has like a really nice like wiki or a Notion page where he just
Yep.
like
Yeah.
There's Oral's
has so much
Notion
info. Oh
page,
my
which
God.
if we can find it and put it in the description and remember it. Oral's Notion page, and Silent as well. Silent is the community.
Yeah.
It has a lot of pages. That's where I started learning actually about post-processing, lighting, and all that stuff. That's what really got me into it. I found Silent's like little like blog posts, and I was like, oh, that's really interesting. That's how you do reflections and like lighting and post processing. And I was like, oh, sick. I've learned things. I want to
Right.
put them into practice. So those are good. Bing!
How
As you said.
how the fuck did we all even meet each other, man? How the fuck we even That's
Fucking
something
wispy.
I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Low key is like, is wispy the centrifuge for all this? I think.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Shut up. Bing.
Me and Wispy,
Wispywoo.com.
never mind.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Wait. Hold on. I mean, okay? There's got to be a timeline to this, right? You met Medi. Medi met
Wispy.
me, and then
Yep.
Medi was like, "Hey, you got to meet Artsy." And I
You
remember
kiss.
motherfuckers.
I remember this kind of thing happening where I was like, the minute I got onto VR chat, I'm like, all right, who's the best? And then you just went Artsy. And I'm like, oh shit, okay, let's
Yeah.
go to a world. And my mind was blown. I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Don't think I'll ever meet her because she's way cooler than me. I'm like, holy shit. I feel like a lot of people might share that opinion with me. But Artsy's, you're fucking dope, dude. I feel like you give everyone
Yeah.
the time of day. Anytime they see you, you're just like, yo. And you're yourself. You're not just like, I gotta go. Unless it's a crazy situation. But yeah, no, dude. I mean, how did we all meet, man? We all play Overwatch one day and just like,
Yeah, that too. Yeah, I think that's part of it where we like played Overwatch at some point as well.
Yeah.
Just like terrible habits. We
well, how do
hate
you
I
meet
think
people
it's a
like
form
us,
of
right?
self-
Do you just catch us
Okay.
in VR? Like, how do you do that?
Look, I'm a little biased about this, but I think that one of the best places to meet people isn't so much in by going into publics when it comes to VR chat, but getting
Right.
involved in communities.
But
Nowadays
getting
we
in
have
there,
groups,
yeah.
right? So find a group that's like on a specific interest. So if it's worlds that you want to be interested in, right? Join Artsy's group, Wispy's group, Sam's group, right? Like B Club, you join like all of these
Our group.
places and you go to like, yeah, I was gonna get to that after. A place that's like really nice also to connect is VRChat as a huge underground scene of like DJs and clubs and like interesting parties. VRC.tl. You go there, you have a giant timeline of all the events that are ever hosted on there with like you can bookmark, you can favorite, you can do whatever the fuck you want. Bing! Right? You click on an event, you have links to their group, to their Discord, to their Twitter, to their like Blue Sky, to whatever the fuck people use nowadays, right? Like you've got everything listed on there. Go there, find a community that you think might be fun, discover
just
it,
have
come to an
fun.
event,
And just
have fun, talk to random
Yeah.
people in there. Yeah, just like
That's the
meet
coolest.
people.
Vibe
That's
check
the
it.
coolest
Get
part
involved.
of VR is like, you just walk into a place, they're doing their thing, and you just go, bing, damn,
Yeah,
they're doing it.
like
here.
Refuge.
That's how I met.
We
That's
talked
how I
about.
met Medi,
Yeah,
right? Like we talked about this on episode 1. Check it out, dude. I walked in and I was like, I want to be friends with all these guys. These guys
Yeah.
are cool. Like I feel like that's the vibe you should get when you enter a community. Is like, how do I become one with
specifically like
community.
Refuge. Yeah. For
you
us
just
it was
show
like
up.
a really nice way because the team is already kind of big, so it's pretty relaxed atmosphere when it comes to stuff. People aren't like running around doing a billion things, so it's pretty easy to like talk to the people that are running the event a lot of the times. Like you'll catch Medi like 90% of the time just chilling in the corner of the
Yeah,
room,
if
like,
you're at a
rolling
music
down.
event
Mhm.
though, be mindful of the hour, because on the hour
Yeah.
someone's got to put the next DJ on, and that's like
Yeah.
a whole thing. But if you're 30 minutes in, be like, yo, who's DJing right now, or who made the
who's
map?
the big guy right now?
You know,
yeah,
who
right?
how do I get into the Discord? How do I hang out with you guys more? And it's like, dude, any of us that have staff in our bio, or just
Yeah.
like you recognize that we're doing something there, is more than willing to be like, yeah, I got 5 minutes
We'll
to
chat
tell you
with you.
about what's up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like
If we can't, we'll tell you straight, but most of the time we can.
I feel
Yeah.
like
Also, I'm like perma green when I'm on VR chat.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, just fucking join me. I don't
At
fucking
us,
care.
we'll always like. I don't know
Yeah.
about Artsy because she's a more busy, but like the three of us, you can always add us. We'll accept it the moment that we see the friend
well,
request,
Artsy,
right? And
you do
when
like
we
a meetup,
community meetups. Yeah.
right? You're starting to do those. How are those going?
Yeah. At the end of it's the last Friday of every month. We kind of just grab whoever in our community feels like coming along and typically I'm pretty busy, so shout out to my Discord mods, particularly Mocha, who does a
Mocha,
lot
shout
of
out.
the like scouting for worlds. Yeah,
Shout out
and
Mocha.
you know, we world hop. Typically, we check out like VCAT or whatever else things are going
at the time,
on,
yeah.
and we have some fun. It's kind of just like a pretty chill, just like meet and greet, and sometimes we do events. Like this last Friday, we checked out some Space Jam worlds, and then we kicked it off with the
Yo!
world release. So
Wait,
Yep.
that's sick,
Big night.
actually.
Shout out Cat Milk
What?
for Space Jam graphics, by the way. I don't know
Oh,
if
that
we can...
was
Oh
fun.
yeah,
That was
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, I had fun with that, man. I don't play this game enough, honestly. Get me in here, guys. Get some community on me. Ask me questions. I'm gonna regret that later. But
Yes.
honestly, no. I think meeting each other. The four of us in this room. You know, it's kind of like it's crazy to think about because we're all super creative and we all are on a mission for whatever fucking reason. And when I met Artsy, I remember I was making stuff for Wispy. I was making thumbnails. I had already been working on a bunch of old maps. They were like, yo, these look crazy, bad. Can you change them? And I was like, dude, of course, I'd love to. And I think that's how we met. I think you were like stoked about the work I was doing in VR chat, which is like, again, like to meet you was like, I was like, no way. Artsy's hitting me up right now and we're gonna do something. And the first thing we
the
worked
coolest
on,
motherfucker you know.
yeah, you wanted like a magazine print of your assets, which was computers,
Hey.
a lot of technology assets that you were making in VR chat. And I was like, dude, can we make like an ad, like a magazine ad? And I don't know if you approached me with that idea, but I was so down
well,
to work with you. Yeah, how did that even come to be, if you remember?
originally I needed I wanted like a poster that was kind of it wasn't really an ad, it was more or less like for something for like environmental storytelling. It was for Nest.
Yes.
Nest the door originally I wanted to have like a little poster. I don't even think I ended up using it in that world, funnily enough, because I think I changed some things around.
Yep.
But I wanted like a kind of like old like 1980s style like retro computer like I guess like ad thing that would look like it, you know, came out of a magazine or whatever. And I was kind of describing that idea to Lavy, and I believe that's how we met, because Lavy was like, you should check out Cat. Here's a bunch of their stuff. They're a great
Yep.
like designer and everything, and I'm sure he'd love to work with you. So that's I think when I hit you up, which it's funny too, because I was kind of intimidated because I was like,
That's
whoa,
wild.
like this person does this for a living. That's
No way.
you know gonna
That's what I said. This person does this for a living? Like, are you kidding me? Dude, no, I was like immediately hooked when you were talking about the nostalgia that you wanted to bring with each world. After Lavy and Medi prefaced me, they're like, you gotta meet this chick. She's next level. And at the time I was like, what's out there? You know, like what are we doing here? Like, VR chat is fun. I've played a few games, but like, what's out there? And then again, I went to your worlds and I was like, wow, okay. Like, there's a story here and this feels way more developed, way more detail oriented. That's when we started talking. I was like, what is this? What is Pacifica? Right. And I think that's when we started really just like going crazy. We're just like, dude, like, it's in the 90s, but it's not in the 90s. It's crazy. It's this whole, you know, environment that you live in when you step in through the front door of any of your maps. And I'm like, okay, if I'm going to work on this, I want people to feel the same way. Whether it's a thumbnail, you know, the first thing they see, or it's something in your world that's like represented. And some of the last stuff I worked on for you was a lot of the logos, a lot of the thumbnails, and some ad work. I mean, Wildflower was like my introduction to that. a lot of the advertisement in there was like, I didn't want it to feel like a picture on the wall that's like, click me, that's just not, nobody like loves ads. I don't think I've met a single person that does. But you and I sat down and really like fleshed out like how beautiful, ad space could be, and how beautiful like the integration of design, and
Yeah.
it's just like how
Ads can
people
be
can
art.
be there. Exactly. And I've never met someone that was so down to like create art in VR chat other than the three of y'all. You guys all like really are so open to like telling a story, and it's not just about putting it out. It's like, what are we doing here? And I thought that was so fun. And I was like, damn. And now we know each other. And also, like, you're just like wicked on the music. Like, that's another thing that kind of ties into
Oh yeah, the music. We wanted to
Just-
talk about that. Yeah.
just all of us. We like love music. Refuge is the reason I'm in here, because of the music. And when I met you, you were just bar for bar on on those Chingy songs. Like, in at a Refuge world, someone was throwing down some Chingy, and you were just like bar for bar, just saying all the words. And I'm like, I gotta be friends with this person. This person seems really cool. Like,
This girl is
holy crap.
cool.
And yeah, I guess I'll tie that into like all your worlds. Like, you've really made a impact with like choosing the music for each world, right? Atmospheric, environment, like it just feels like you're there. And I feel like the soundtrack has a lot to do with that. What's behind all the music in Artsy Glitch worlds?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think some of the few things that I'm known for, like simplified, would probably be like immersive environments. Can I say good place to fuck? And,
Real?
We can
and,
censor that.
like,
We can bleep it
very-
out if it's too much.
It's
but in very curated like musical playlists. I think one of the maybe unique, I don't know, maybe this is unique to me, but one of the kind of unique experiences that I have as a creator here is probably my most asked question is like, oh my god, what's like what are the songs, or what's the playlist in this world or this world? And it kind of became like a whole thing with my process. I used to model listening to the music of like I would kind of like put together a playlist or a vibe.
Catch the
And-
vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, like and I would model kind of underneath the influence of it, listen to it while I'm focusing and trying to be creative, and kind of keep in that mind space. Kind of get in the zone, and I mean, music makes you
music's everything.
just
dude.
kind of like
Don't do
yeah,
drugs,
like
do
it
music
lifts
instead.
you to a different
music.
kind of yeah. And but yeah, I mean, like eventually it kind of went from just kind of keeping a vibe and having good song choices to like very like specifically curating it. I remember for Wildflower, I was making this very organic and kind of like ethereal, very kind of earthy place. So and this probably sounds kind of cringe, but what I did was I got really stoned and just went and found like old music, listen to like I went to a lot of like I remember I used to in high school when I was a little twerpy stoner, I would listen to like Blockhead and all sorts of like weird trippy
Damn,
like indie shit.
good music.
And so I started there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And made this like really unique playlist. I'm so proud of the Wildflower playlist. If you want some like if you want to discover like some like weird, unique, but like kind of just banger music, I think Wildflower is a good place to go and hang out. And yeah, I mean, like I pretty much did the same thing, at least so far as curating it well for the Cyber Love Area 7.
Dude, that one is such a good playlist. Oh my god.
Yeah, like I used like city pop and future funk as kind of the backbone. City pop because it's kind of just like the vibe of kind of like old school Tokyo, like in the
Hell
you know
yeah.
concrete jungle. but it also is an uplifting kind of makes you want to be social, or like just like want to, I guess, like move around or think or like be active. And then I use that as the backbone. And I kind of like making the playlist, I would branch off into like, okay, like I can get here if I add these, and these songs to kind of like, widen the scope. So
Right.
I managed to get everything in between from, like I said, city pop is kind of the base, going all the way into like funk, some just general hip hop. I have some EDM in there, and Kiefer Green. We all love Kiefer Green.
Shout out Kiefer Green.
Hell yeah,
Remix legend. Remix god.
real.
Yeah, so much of
Yeah.
like, again, the soundtracks to the movie. Like, you can't watch a movie without the music, right? Like, and I feel like you're really creating movies in here that you can live in. You're the main character. Music comes on, you're like, yeah, this is it. I'm here. And I did want to touch on a cool little feature you added. I don't know if it's in final, the playlist thing lets you kind of switch around through all the playlists. You end up Did you end up doing that?
Okay. So it's nothing like super special or like some kind of like specialized system or anything. I mentioned earlier a ton of people, like my most asked question. I mean like multiple times a week I have people who come and like message request me on Discord or come into our Discord server, and they're like, "What's this playlist?" And I'm disorganized as hell. So I never have like a link or anything ready, which kind of my bad. Um, but instead of like having people have to like go and find the songs or the playlists or whatever, especially when I can be a little hard to get a hold of. What I'm doing now with as I update worlds and with this newer world, it's there on the video player UI. I'm adding like a little copy paste button, and I'm going to start archiving the playlist on YouTube. So I'm going to get all the songs that are available, put them in like playlists on YouTube so people can just copy it from the game and paste it in their browser. And that way they can, just if they like a
Nice.
song, they can just go and look for it
That's so
as soon as
sick.
they.
Yeah, like my favorite one is Wildflower. I'm gonna be that guy and be like, that's you just hit so many like cerebral like core memories for me going into that world. And yeah, we got to work on it a lot, design wise with the 2D stuff, and I was like, damn, she hit it, man. Like, I'm in here and I can just fall asleep in here. I can bring my friends. We can like just hang out and like talk, and there's just a good soundtrack, dude. It's like, it's really hard for me to turn the music off. Like when you're driving in the car and there's no music, it's like, something's wrong today. Like something's, I gotta put the music on, or like my girlfriend will just like boop, like put on a song and be like, why aren't you listening to music? And it's just sick to see how important music is. And I'm so glad that you got to talk about that. And I think all of us really like, we come around the music. At the end of the day, we it's kind of our safe place. It's really a really cool thing. Well, I wanted to bring
Refuge.
yeah, shout out Refuge,
Come to
man.
Refuge.
Like without
Come to
Refuge, like I don't think I'd be in VR. I don't think I'd be putting so many hours into like, wow, like because of the music. And it's, you got so many DJs coming through here, so many people playing new music and playing music that I used to listen to. I'm just like, damn, I really miss out when I don't go to a Refuge thing. I want to not only just go to more Refuge stuff, but check out more of Artsy stuff, what Lavy's working on, what the homies are working on outside of this room. Like, I urge everybody, follow the music. That's huge. Well, to cap it off, I mean, I really wanted to talk about just what's next, I guess, for both of y'all. Before we go into some shout outs and some closing stuff, really what's next? What do you see for yourselves, the platform, the communities on here? What do you want to see? You know, what's next on the agenda? Either of you. You two.
You want me to start off?
Yeah, because I'm gonna rant for a long time. You know, I'm a talker.
I mean, as far as like upcoming things for me, now that I've kind of regained my footing a little bit with CyberLove, I have a lot of plans this year. I think the first few things that I'm going to be doing is releasing like world asset packs. I'm also going to be bringing back world sales in kind of a different kind of form. You'll have to wait and see how that works. But
Okay. Giving the power
yeah,
back
I
to the
mean,
players, it seems like you want to give the creators some more inspiration through your work.
yeah, I think a lot of it is just I'm trying to simplify my workflow. I want to get to a point where I am making stuff that can be released and more like things that are more available more often and stuff like that. A lot of world updates this year. I'm planning on doing like a full remaster for Solar Cabins. I'm very excited about
baby.
that.
Oh,
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
Hey,
And
yo. Okay.
you know, we'll be working together on it, I'm sure. And I'm
whatever
also
you
thinking
need,
about doing a
Bresty.
boat map. That's
Boat.
been
Oh
a
yeah,
Boat map.
that's been in talks for like years at this point. Like ever
Okay.
since Archipelago, pretty much we've been like,
Everyone
Oh,
loves a good boat on
you,
VR chat. I'll tell you what.
yeah. I've been saving my I feel like every creator has to make a train map. Every creator has to eventually make a boat map. And I haven't really hit those marks yet. Like I've been saving them for like the right time and I think I'm getting there. And I'm actually totally remaking the Helleborus from Archipelago and I'm gonna like from scratch. So I'm doing that too.
makes
So
all
yeah, I
cool
mean just
environments.
Hell yeah, you got the calendar filled up. You're just ready to.
oh yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, welcome back. You know, I feel like you as a creator, you're like a musician, you're like a director, you know. We're all waiting on the next movie, we're all waiting on the next album, and every time you never disappoint. You've always just leveled up. Each time it's like just wicked. So check out Artsy
Thank you.
Glitch on VR chat everywhere, you know, online, offline. Just dude, you're sick. Like seriously, your work is amazing and it's worth the wait, I feel like. And it sounds like you got a lot of stuff in the pipeline. Lavy, what you got cooking for us, bro, this year?
Oh my goodness gracious, left and right. I've got so much stuff coming up. I want to make more tools for people to play with and make their experience in world creation a little bit nicer. Got a whole lot of ideas coming up. I'm not gonna leak everything, but you already know about the post processing and everything that's coming. So hopefully before the end of the year that's coming out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I really want to polish it to like be as good as I want it. Unfortunately, perfectionism is biting me in the ass. For what's coming with the platform, though, there's a lot to look forward to.
Oh wow. You got a little bit of an
Yeah.
insider look, don't you?
I don't know if I can talk about that publicly, but yes, I do.
That's
But the
great.
things that I can talk about
You're super
publicly,
smart and like you're linked in with what we need in the platform, and I feel like you're always a great
yeah,
person to jump to for that.
I'm very much the kind of person to criticize VR chat in a lot of ways because they do some really good things, but they also do sometimes some really bad things. But they have been on what I think is a very much like an up
It's very
yeah
progressive lately. I
trend.
feel like a lot of the
Yeah,
updates and a lot of the things we've been getting, you know, really speak to the
despite some of
community.
the stuff that happened within the community, like there's been so much good stuff happening. I'm really looking forward to Steam Audio is like the big
Hell
thing
yeah.
that I'm looking forward to.
Music,
Yeah,
audio.
and
Yeah.
I don't know if this is gonna like this is somewhat adjacent to VR chat, but if you guys don't know about it, there is something cooking up in the background made by some of the biggest nerds you know, or actually don't know because they work in a lot of the background stuff, a lot of shader creators, a lot of like programmers, the kind of people that you don't talk about often, but that are like pillars of the VR chat community are working on something right now. Um, it's their own little platform. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Basis VR.
Basis.
And I'm
Sick.
looking forward to that for whenever that comes up. I think it's just called Basis.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's called Basis. But I'm really, really looking forward to what they're gonna do because we've seen countless VR chat adjacent, social platforms. They've all come and gone, and they've all had issues. But the main thing that they didn't have is like a creator retention. Considering that this is made by creators for creators, I think it has a chance of being something more than like chill out and Neos
Hell
and
yeah.
It's
Would you
Resonate.
say it's
it's
like the
crazy.
would you
Yeah,
say it's like
You
the
basically
Android to
make
the
your
iPhone?
own. I don't. You're basically making your own EXE
yeah.
to give to
Okay.
people, like your own VR chat.
You
Oh
have the
wow.
And
option
they're
to
giving
do
you the
that, but
tools.
there seems to be plans to have like a official like thingy. But
Yeah.
yeah, there is
Platform.
definitely like it is completely open source, so anybody can build on top of that. I don't know how much of it is public information, but I know that in the Discord there's some talks about an old platform, an old social platform that's trying to build on top of Basis
Cool.
for like reviving it. So
Hell yeah.
yeah.
Well, VR is just becoming like more and more interesting to a lot of people in
Mhm.
tech and a lot of
Every
people in
single day.
social media. I feel like, yeah, post COVID, we're just living in this crazy world where like we can work from home now. That's like a big thing. And
Yep.
you can do so many things from home, not just work. And I feel like,
So many incredible things.
yeah, VR is just the gateway for that. I mean, bro, Refuge, what do we got in the pipeline, bro? I feel like there's a lot to
Fucking
talk about here.
3DA. I got 3DA.
3DA. Yep.
3 days awake.
3
I
days
just
awake
finished
with new
booking
maps,
everybody.
new
We
cool stuff.
just finished booking everybody for our music festival in June. That'll be June 6th through the 8th.
Yeah, 6 to yep.
Friday to Sunday,
Let's-
72 hours straight of music. 69 if we're lucky, if everyone wakes up on time. Yeah, dude. I mean, you want to talk about 3DA a little bit and then maybe into some other cool stuff we're working on?
Not really. I just kind of want to tease it. To be honest.
Okay. Show up.
Let them find out.
We'll see you there.
Tickle your fancy.
I won't bring up some of the stuff that we're working on because it's just so cool. And we haven't even started on it yet. So low key, we are working on some stuff. No, actually started on some stuff that is really exciting. Obviously, Flatline is out. That's a huge thing that Refuge really wanted to push out to the music community so that open decks and a lot of DJs that are new and old on the scene get a shot to just have fun on the decks after a show, or maybe that's the whole point of your show is you're doing open decks. Dude, what else? I mean, I had my show Critical. We talked about it last episode. That went really well. Thanks to everybody who came out. That shit was awesome. Really a producer focused, visual focused experience for people that want to play music and show themselves visually to a crowd that cares. And I think there's so many underrated talents. There's a Skrillex out there, you know, and I'm ready to see
So
him
many
go
of them
crazy.
underground. Yeah.
I see them everywhere, man. And I just want to give my own little space, my own little corner of the music world with Critical at Refuge to be able to put them on. And, you know, we got so much stuff. We got Clarity, Delusion. That's going to be on Fridays now. Make sure you check those out. Shout out Clara for putting those together. We've also got Your Mom's House right where we're at. We're doing a bunch of shows here on Fridays as
Mainline
well.
show.
We're gonna do your mom's day. That should be fun.
Yeah.
I don't know
That's
what we're gonna
right,
do,
Mother's
but We're
Day.
gonna do something for your mom's day.
Is coming up.
We're gonna try.
Bring your mom, put her in the headset, you know, rage out. Bring her a bottle of wine and come through the show. You know,
Buy her a
whatever
candle.
you got to do. Buy her a candle.
Yep. Remember your mom on that day.
And let her know that this is the future. You know what I mean? Get her in the headset, man. Let her know.
Don't get her in that. Don't get her in that.
Yeah,
Don't get her in the headset.
Maybe don't.
Maybe for 10 minutes. Once the motion kicks in, pop it off and get her a
Yeah,
candle.
just mute voices. You'd be right.
This Mother's Day, don't get your mom candles. Don't get your mom flowers. Get your mom a VR headset so she can get
She's
laid
gonna
in
love
VR
it.
chat.
Yeah,
Meta
your mom is gonna be the
advertisement.
biggest e-girl you know.
Quest 3 link. Bing!
See your
Oh
mom
my
at
God.
FET heaven.
Oh, dude.
Full body tracking.
Get with the times. The FPT Haven is dead. It's all about
Oh, love
gestation
it.
now.
If you're not hanging out with your mom in VR, who are you hanging out with?
Yeah,
Dad.
VR is about family. Truly.
clearly. You share a good time with your
Lack
family.
of.
Okay,
Sorry.
this bit is gonna get cut out. I hope.
Start your own family in VR. It's that easy.
Don't.
It's that easy. It's that easy. Just don't be weird. Just don't be weird about it. Just
Okay, that's just good advice now.
no. I think my best advice: don't be weird. I got that from a really good, cool person in here, and thank God they weren't saying it to me. They were, right. I think they were kicking someone out of the Discord while they were saying that.
The gameplay, the
Good-
community gameplay.
Good times.
Yeah,
I mean,
think
I'm out
that's
of
the end.
questions. I'm out of
Yeah.
shit. If you guys want to say some closing things to the people in there, go for it. What you got for us, Artsy? Close us out.
Yeah,
Muted.
true. Speaking facts right here.
I'm
That's
watching
right.
you. I mean, if you want to check out my stuff, obviously you can search up Artsy Glitch in game or whatever. Of course, support all of these other amazing creators. I mean, we got the community goats here. So yeah, show some love.
Yeah, no. Find her on Blue Sky, Artsy Glitch, Blue Sky, whatever, right? That's the thing.
Mm-mm.
Come to the worlds. Check out Area 7. Cyberlove Area 7. That shit. Oh my goodness gracious. For my own little shout outs. If you want to get into the club scene, check out vrc.tl. You'll find all the links to every club ever. Specifically, if you want to find Refuge, go to the Wednesday day. We always have a Wednesday show that's our mainline one.
Yeah, every
Join the group.
Wednesday.
Join the Discord. Yeah,
Come through.
every Wednesday. If you want
10
to check me
hours.
out, yeah, Lavy.gay, just on your thingy. That's gonna take you to my Blue Sky. That's the same ad, same shit. Check out these beautiful people. Check out Wispy's maps as well, because that's the reason why we know each other mainly.
Yeah, we got to get Wispy
Um,
on here. High key.
Yeah, absolutely, 100,000%. And yeah, start a passion in world creation. Learn programming and become a nerd. It's cool. I swear, it's worth it. It's totally not gonna ruin your life.
Buy some programmer socks.
Yeah, dude. Become a fanboy.
All
Do
right.
what you
And
love.
check out
Yeah, you go.
artsy.republican.
Okay. I don't know what that
No,
means.
shut up. Shut the. I'm gonna have to buy the domain
that,
now.
Buy the donut.
Fuck the
3DA,
system.
June 6th through
Tear
the
it all
8th.
down.
If you're in VR, come check it out. If you're not, download VR Chat. It's free on Bing, vrchat.com. We're standing up now because we've been
we're standing
sitting
up?
down for.
All right.
I don't know. I'm standing up. My back hurts.
Fuck it.
Love you
My
guys.
ass hurt.
This has been your mom's podcast, episode 2. More coming soon.
Is this your card?
Is it?
Is this your card?
Shut this thing off, man.